Happy Monday.
Hey, how are you doing? Mike Jones, who plays piano for Penn and Teller, just tweeted, first he gets arrested for DUI, now this. And then it quotes CNN breaking news. Tiger kills worker in enclosure of UK zoo park.
Yeah, tell you what, when it rains, it pours.
You, my friend, have earned a retweet.
The fabled brushwood bump.
Oh, man. If only it exists. Man, oh man. Hey, you know what? Life is pretty grand. We get to do ridiculous imagining and somehow provide for the public good.
I don't think it compares to the public good. All the people whose lives were sacrificed that we celebrate today.
Yeah, but I mean, let's say who's really making his sacrifice. For example, recording a podcast on what other people treat as a holiday. I think we know who the real heroes are.
Yeah.
I think I agree, Brian.
Oh no! Did somebody get a vocoder?
Yeah, it's a real great time for everybody. Hey, wait a minute. I wonder what Kylo Ren has to say about Maury.
Oh my god!
I definitely think that it's a very important holiday
I think I heard important holiday, but I just can't get over Kylo Ren.
Everybody needs to understand the importance of the holiday.
I can't understand a word, but I love sanctimonious. I love sanctimonious Kylo Ren. He's my favorite Kylo Ren. The reason for the season and all that.
Calm down. Anyway, see you later.
Bye, Kylo Ren.
That's his trademark phrase. Anyway, see you later. Oh, who can forget when he said that to his dad after killing him? Anyway, see you
Still more memorable
later.
than anything in Rogue One.
Oh my god.
No, this thing's great, man. We got this thing. No, it does this.
You can speak in a high voice. Hey, look at me. It's a high voice.
Can you can you twist it on the fly, or do you got to press buttons and program?
I don't know, Brian. What about now?
Whoa.
Harmonies. Whoa.
So, okay.
That's cool. So is that like a physical vocoder or like a software thing?
No, it's a physical.
Shut up! Bring back Kylo Ren. Sorry. Sorry.
Is anybody doing anything today? Just text me. Anyway, see you later.
No, it's the Roland VT3 voice transformer.
Nice.
It's like $160.
That's not bad. You may want to kill that line when you're not using it, because I think we can pick it up a little bit when you're talking on your regular mic.
No, it's killed now. It should
Okay.
be killed now.
I heard it earlier. And that's
Oh yeah.
Man, that looks like a fun toy. I might have to.
great for podcasts.
Near. I feel like we need dueling VT3s.
No, I spent most of yesterday just, I was calling my wife a cuck in Kylo Ren's voice, just yelling across.
Anyway,
my God.
See you later.
Anyway, see you later. That classic Kylo Ren.
May the force be with you.
Bye.
Anyway, bye. Hey, I was thinking I returned that laptop, and I guess I'm not in love with the idea of paying a lot of money for another laptop, so I have a lot of Amazon credit, and I'm wondering if we can find a system on Amazon, either wireless speakers or some way to set up monitors, nice around here that so that we don't have to keep moving that speaker and I don't know, like because sometimes we'll all get in here and we'll watch movies, and so everyone's here and all the sound just comes from that side. So I wonder if like multiple speaker setups or something might be a good idea in the studio.
Okay.
Anyway, if you know any solutions for that, that might be fun to spend some house money on.
Yeah, I don't know what you do when you guys watch movies in here, so I don't know what might be the best solution for that. versus you.
Somebody doesn't get an invite.
We just watch the movies, bro. I don't. No,
I'm just saying, is you would probably know what speaker system would work best for that situation.
So, I love "see you later." It's so jaunty, like oh, we'll run into each other again. No worries. Anyway, see you later. As he's murdering his dad. Anyway, see you later.
Bye, Pops. All right, I got the thing that you sent, Andrew.
All right, now I have another thing I'm going to send Tweedledee and Tweedledose.
Ooh. And I sent you some stuff earlier. I don't know if you're interested in any of that.
Yeah, they're good, but I've got some material. Let's see.
Ooh, all right.
Space,
WJ says, anyway, kill you later.
Wabbit Magic wants to know why Weird Things on Channel 5 are not as popular as we used to be. Oh, whoa. Jesus Christ. That's the talking about Weird Things popularity alarm. Super popular. Hey, Bonnie, you're live on the air. What's up?
Oh, uh-oh. What are y'all doing? What is today? Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
What's up?
Just keep going.
We have a special guest here who can say hello.
Yeah. It's Kylo Ren from the Star Wars movie. Do you hear him?
Apparently. In fact, mostly I just hear the car that I'm driving in.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, you're on your way back?
Yeah, I'm on my way back.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, man. Anyway, see you later. Anyway, see you later.
Andrew, how was your trip to Disney? I haven't spoken to you since you did your trip to Disney.
Disney was cool.
Can we say, is this, did you ride the Guardians thing?
I did.
Can we talk about it on the show?
Surely.
Okay.
How many hours did you wait in line for it?
But save it for the show.
Okay.
That's irrelevant. That's an
You're
interesting
right.
fact.
I was too interested.
Well,
No.
I mean, that's... I don't know what I like. Yeah, here's the thing. I have a policy of I got to do it in a very unconventional way.
He lives by the code of Omuerta, and all you need to know is that he rode the ride.
I'll say. So I went there with a friend who had Club 33 access.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
So what are these things called? Lines.
All right. Well, let's start the show then. Why don't we?
Yep.
All right. Well, take it away, Andrew. In 3, 2.
Welcome to the Weird Things podcast. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Justin Robert Young.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Brian Brushwood.
Yo, beautiful people. Hope
Shut
you're-
up! Wait, we just got incoming news. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Whoa. This is huge. What's up?
Guys, this may be the episode that puts us over the top. This could be the thing where people realize that we're like the serial to weird stuff that is our breakthrough moment, the point at which, like, you know, all eyes or ears turn towards us because we've got a breaking bit of news here.
Let's break
you
it.
know, we teased about it, we talk about it, and you know, sometimes things sit around in the scientific literature until somebody says, "Wait, look at this. This is important." You know, like maybe ulcers are caused by like bacteria, you know.
Oh, sure.
Maybe we have an idea of what is DNA. What is this, you know, basis of life? What is the proof? We found some particle, some fundamental thing. We proved relativity, whatever. We have our version of that. We have our version of it. We've talked about it for so long. And I know we started kind of skeptical, perhaps a little bit cynical. And right in the chat room, I'm not going to say live, but right now the chat, the people are ahead of us, live goblin captured. We do have photos of a goblin.
What?
Wait a minute. What?
That's
On
our white.
Memorial
That's our
Day
white rabbit.
episode?
That's
Now, let me back up a minute here. And it is even crazier than that because there was a panic on a bus in Victoria Falls, which I think is in Zimbabwe, where people were panicking because apparently they found a goblin on a bus and people started to freak out. And it caused quite an incident there. But then they captured the goblin underneath the driver's seat, and they actually have a photo of a goblin. I don't want to show this yet.
Okay. Can we just explore? Like this is the most tantalizing. We're about to drink from the forbidden ambrosia of the fountain of youth. Like we found it. We found the thing. What's it going to taste like, Justin?
Understand what the stakes are here. We have never, despite having multiple reports, had this level of access to a goblin. We have it captured. We have full frontal high definition photos of it. And now we are going to crack this case wide open. Folks, Andrew, you're right. This is what takes this show to the next level. Every other podcast is taking a nap on Memorial Day. They're all, they got a half a rib hanging out of their mouth. They got Corona bottles around their feet.
In this story, guys, this goes deep because apparently it's not just goblins, it's black magic. It involves a busing company that may have been using black magic to lure people onto their bus routes.
I mean,
Okay?
I've been asking for years.
Circulating on WhatsApp was the message that said the buses have been stopped from departing Victoria Falls bus rank because Madaziba Benfrage prophesied that there was a bus carrying a coffin with the kid's body. The bus is using blood to lure passengers, and the bus departs. It will kill everybody. So this is like a Christine haunted bus with a goblin on board?
Oh, my Lord. I mean, I would imagine that, you know, it's like, it's not black magic that's getting people on these buses. It's the great deals.
Yeah. Are you ready for the photo? Can you? I don't. Wait. I don't want to show it just yet. I just want some expectations here. I want you guys to just.
I'm gonna think if one of the key phrases is that it's hiding underneath the driver's seat or whatever. It's like I figure it's a small thing. Now we know it's an actual goblin, but if I were to phrase it in more traditional, natural terms, I would say I would expect it would be something like a leprous monkey, like something that's lost a bunch of its, it's got mange and it's all covered, and its hair's all gone.
With Justin's face.
Yeah, of course. I mean, naturally, because it would be patchy, except for in this awesome Anchorman mustache.
I don't know why that seems so weird.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'd be the handsomest goblin found, assigned to modeling contract immediately, like the handsome felon that is dating Nicki Minaj now.
Well, let's. I mean, we'll take a look at the picture. What do you think?
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's usually mange. Mange is the fast track to supernatural. We can't explain what this thing is. It's usually something very normal that's been manged out. And if it's under the driver's seat, I would suspect we're in raccoon or possum territory.
So understand that this was apparently a prophet had said, hey, this bus line, they're out to some shady stuff. I think they have some goblins involved. And apparently he was the one that said, hey, we got to stop this. And he's the one who said he found the goblin underneath it. This vigilante, this humanitarian took it upon himself to tell people that this bus line is doing this. Probably totally not an employee of some other bus line or anything like that. I want to make that very, very clear. There's no evidence to that. There is not an ounce of skepticism in the article that would imply that. So as we see this photo of a goblin, I want you guys to brace yourself. So Justin, you're kind of on board with sort of a mangy monkey kind of look?
Yeah. A smaller animal with a lot of weird looking mange is what I'm down with.
All right.
Now there is a darker alternative that I don't like to consider, because we've talked before about how many of these goblin sightings have just been people, straight up people, and I'm hoping it's not a person.
All right.
So
well,
apparently, witnesses said that travelers companies, after the rumor started spreading, travelers shunned the company's buses at the local Chunatuba bus rank. Witnesses said Madzibaba Benfranje, then that's the prophet, then turned up at the rank around 9 p.m. in the company of police and officers and removed the goblin from one of the buses. Although there was no immediate confirmation incident from the ZRP, which I think is a police force, sources said the prophet removed. All right. You ready to see the photo?
Yep.
let's go. Oh
What?
my God!
What?
Is that one or two scoops? You think?
Okay, for everybody playing at home, who had the horn of an ox carved out and having colorful yarn rolled all around it?
Apparently, goblin can also mean some strange kind of totem.
Oh, how is the goblins doing all the raping that we hear about?
Well, that looks kind of rapey.
Okay, it's not.
All right. Are those rubber bands?
It's probably like ribbon and yarn.
So it's basically just like a horn like you would get sold at a Renaissance fair to like drink your ale from.
Ye old goblin fair.
Yeah,
So-
the old goblin fair with a bunch of yarn balls in like it was Baskin Robbins.
The horn was allegedly used by the bus company to attract passengers, and some locals were left convinced that also responsible for accidents involving the company over years. And the prophet, he prayed and removed the horn from under the driver's seat. The bus crew told him that the item was in a parcel sent by a Zambian to a relative in Baliwayu. The bus only left in the morning Friday against their timetables. Police could not readily comment on the matter. Now, I have a link I'm sending to the both of you right now, which is another news item on this, and I would like very much for the Goblin News Desk, that's you guys,
GNN.
to each take a turn reading a paragraph from this news item. All right?
Okay.
All right.
And you think covering news is hard?
No.
Think about covering it in a country where, goblins are terrorizing bus routes.
All right, here we go. I'm going to take us up.
Brian, I got the lead here.
Okay, well, here, if I can. Coming in over these formerly nicotine-stained fingers. Live via Twitch.tv.
Am I doing the Rush voice?
Yeah, I mean, just saying.
A self-styled prophet secretly placed a man-made goblin in a bus destined for hooray, delaying travelers for more than an hour, saying that it was meant to cause an accident on Africa Day.
Madzibaba Benfred of Johann Massa Chesanyu.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I took the lead.
That's all accurate. Approached Supra Extra Link bus crew, claiming that there was a parcel in the bus with a goblin meant to cause an accident.
Manda Zibaba's attempt to claim prophetic powers failed to make an impact after part of the crowd who rushed to the bus terminus informed the bus crew that Prophet Hungwe had already exposed his evil intentions.
Do not be fooled by that Madzababa Alisa. God damn, what? What? Wait, did you guys script this? Did you guys? Is this? Is like this is like the time I licked every other.
Right?
Every syllable, Brian. Every syllable.
This is like the time that I licked every other saltine down the pack, and then told my brother we had to alternate, and he ate all my spit-covered saltines. Do not be fooled by that Madzababa Atiza Kwanga Kuchinamatawa Uko Akita Kubatsirwa Kwakuya Kuzoda Kukanda Zvinu Sveku Godzira Mubhazi Iri, one of the onlookers was heard saying.
It's like another language.
It just rolls off the tongue.
And now I'll read one, Brian. He wants people to believe his powers by placing man-made things. This is a fake goblin, added the onlooker. See, it's the same guy. It's the same guy.
By the way, people are saying I'm racist. It does say Godzilla in there. It says...
No, listen, no. If we can get this to Bryce, so Bryce can put it up on the screen, like it is hilarious at what the paragraphs that Brian got going.
Here, I'm gonna forward this over to Bryce. You can even take my line during that.
Travelers were divided as some believe it claims delaying the bus departure by almost 2 hours. The goblin was laced with beads and a cloth around a cow horn with blood inside and was placed in a wrapped parcel under the seat. Listen, I don't want to start anything here, but I think it's time for us to start believing the conspiracy theories that the prophet Hongwu was a inside job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey guys, I'm gonna go look for the goblin. He's wearing his flowing robes. Hey, look what I found! Like, you know, a cop planting evidence. You know, oh, look what we got here.
How much of the Gaga do you think that he did? How much of the like? I think is it over? No, it's not over here. I'm getting a sense under the seat. Oh,
what's that, Gobby? Oh, Gobby the Goblin says I'm over here.
And I got kind of part of a story to share with you.
Yeah,
I've had this very interesting exchange with, since the show I did, Don't Trust Andrew Main, aired in India. I've picked up a number of Indian fans and had some interesting correspondence, and one of them sent me an email asking me what I thought about the possibility of humans that were like 8 inches tall. Because apparently in some remote area near where he lives, there had been stories, or somebody told him a story of like a small little person. They were called Lilliputians. And I wrote back, I said, well, you know, while the idea of there being short humans isn't a ridiculous idea, that small would seem unlikely unless you're, you know, talking about an infant, and Lilliputians comes from, you know, Gulliver's Travels. And then he sent me these very long exchanges that I didn't have enough time to actually read. And then yesterday I sat down to read one of them, and it was about him and a friend were going to go off to go see these things. And some local shaman type person had said, yeah, I'll take you to see them. You're going to need a mirror, some candles, some dust, and then 20,000 rupees. And his suspicions were a little bit, you know, maybe there's, you know, because they were like, and then I guess the deal fell through because like, well, you can't capture him. You're not allowed to capture him, you know. But anyhow, I'm going to find out if they ever did go or whatever. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, wait, you're like actually going on a little person hunt? No.
Well, and plus also it's like at that point, it's like part of me would be interested in paying the fee just to be like, with the full understanding that you're not going to see an 8-inch little man running around, but instead like, okay, what is it? What experience are they selling for this price, right? Like what is the faux? Oh, it's the snipe hunt, the luxury snipe hunt, like.
Yeah, I also kind of feel like it doesn't feel like, I mean, considering what I've known people have paid for to, you know, go on, you know, ayahuasca vacations in Central America and what's promised to them. Like, this really isn't all that outside the realm of possibility. I'd be more likely to pay 20,000 rupees to go on a purported cryptid hunt than I would, to have some chakra eye-opening sweat lodge adventure.
Right. That's about $300. So, and I guess it depends. Like if, we were, looking at it from a Westerner point of view, but if you're from India and that's like a couple months worth of wages, thinking like, man, it's like, this is like a business venture. They're like, we capture one of these people. We've got it made,
Yeah,
versus,
we got it. We're going to be the guys who did it. We got the Lilliputians.
Mm-hmm. So when he sent me a photo, and it was like of these strange looking kind of simian marsupial sort of creatures that was clearly a sculpture, and I even got the name of the person who made the sculpture. And I said, this is the sculpture by this person. And they're like, yes, I know, but that's what they look like. I'm like, well, you didn't say that when you sent me the photo. You said, can you explain this? And I said back, yes, this is who made the sculpture. So it was this, I want to believe, but don't, it's like I get this person is very sincere, and I want to pick on them, but for the most part, when you get into discussions with people who are very extreme, hold sort of conspiracy theory views, and they'll go, what about this? And then this has been explained by this, and they go, well, what about this? You're like, it's like, wait, let's back up to where minute ago you had this very persuasive, convincing piece of evidence in your mind, and that's been completely destroyed, and that has not affected your view at all, because you're like, but then there's this, but then there's this. It's like, how many times do we play whack-a-mole before you go, oh, maybe I'm not a critical thinker?
Well, and the answer, of course, is oftentimes never. Like, no matter how many, because there's always more shot in the chamber. It's like, it's called shotgunning. You just like, bah, 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 and you keep on, as long as you're the one asking questions, you're the one dictating the rhythm and flow of the conversation, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think it's why, science is built upon the idea of, hey, let me come up with a testable hypothesis. Let me come up with something we can test. And if that fails the test, then that, as Richard Feynman says, then the theory's wrong. The theory's wrong. And, doesn't mean that.
That's Karl Popper was the philosopher who suggested that that truth lied not in confirming evidence, but in the falsifiability. Like if your theory cannot be proven false, then it's a useless theory.
Yeah, I mean, it goes way back further than that. But Popper was the guy to really codify that and get into sort of the modern sort of understanding of how to do that. But it was like, I love that the Feynman lecture he did on the blackboard talks about experiment. And if it doesn't match experiment, then the theory is wrong.
Yeah.
His beautiful way of just sort of codifying stuff. So I want to believe. And so this goblin thing, I mean, it's such interesting how a word that has been used in a different context got our hopes and our excitements up so much. And then what's nice is you saw, what I loved though was that we had one article that was sort of rather a very uncritical take, and the other articles that like, yeah, we think this is a con, and we think this is going on a lot, and we're kind of a little bit tired of this.
Yeah, well, also, especially when you're just trying to, like, price compare on these bus lines, and meanwhile, you got these yahoos running around screaming about goblins, and it's like, geez, you're really cluttering the Yelp page here. Let's keep it to price and cleanliness.
Do you think, so I personally believe that no matter how much free flow of information there is, there will always be a propensity to have magical thinking or supernatural thinking or superstitious thinking might be the best way to couch it. It seems like in an increasingly internet-connected world where now we find out that goblin can mean, like, pretty soon the word goblin can mean anything from, a decorated horn to, a little person to a monkey with mange or whatever. Like, at some point, the word goblin stops meaning anything. And so maybe we ascend to a different level of skepticism. But I guess what I'm getting at is, do you think we always have this need to believe in supernatural stuff? Are goblins on the way out thanks to social media and photography and the ability for everyone to be interconnected and say, like, oh, that's what you mean when you say goblin? Well, yeah, there's nothing weird about that at all.
I think that we move into some other area. I remember I was at a friend's house, and his parents are very, very well to do. His mom was like, like a high level, nurse who ran, an entire like wing of a hospital. And I look over and I see this 5 foot tall, like wooden candle stand, ornate with a big, huge candle on top of that. And I'm like, what's that? And my friend says, oh yeah, my mom's psychic or whatever gave that to her. And I'm like, and his mom's super smart woman, but I'm like, is a psychic, or like guru or whatever, like gave it to her. I'm like, what? And like your mom seems like smart and stuff, but she just, even though she was schooled in, science to a degree or whatever like this, she had this need to believe in this kind of thing. And I'm like, what'd that cost? Like, oh, it cost me was a gift. I'm like, oh, so your mom has never given money to this person at all? I'm like, well, yeah, it's like
out of the goodness of her heart,
Yeah. It was just, but I remember just sitting there in the middle. I'm in the middle of a very, very nice neighborhood, very surrounded by educated people. And I'm like, so this is here. This is a thing, So yeah, I think that for sure that it's going to be the things that we're going to say, I saw this or whatever, it gets harder to sort of prove, but the other sorts of things, I don't know, they're going to go away.
But like, because there's always, yes, there will always be more verifiable proof for those who want to critically look at it. But there will also, along with social media, comes a place where you can discuss these things and feed into them. And, some of a lot of it's confirmation bias, but still it's there, and I don't think that there is any linear access to information versus, equals more information, like that it's going to eliminate the goblin thing. I think that we move closer to those who want to look at it critically, but for those who don't, they're just going to find more places to talk about it.
Well, and we're already seeing the evolution of some of these folk tales, like there are corners of YouTube. YouTube has now been around long enough that weird channels have been created for reasons we don't know. And now all you need is to add time. Like, for a conspiracy theory to go somewhere, basically you get to a certain point and then sorry, I just got way distracted. I just looked down and saw that Marcus Lemonis follows me on Twitter. That's very weird. Sorry, totally distracted. My point is there's some
Charlie Wong, Charlie Chan.
No, my point is that there are weird stuff that folktales have been built around that are only going to seem more and more mysterious over time, and that essentially you get kind of like a Candyman or Bloody Mary kind of talking, scaring yourself by staring into allegedly haunted videos and all this stuff. Like, we're watching the next generation of very weird ghost stories and folktales emerge right in front of us.
You heard about Blue Whale?
No.
So, allegedly, it's this game thing that started in Russia by some little sadist where it was like you'd get other teens to do this sort of Blue Whale challenge where it'd be like, first day one, do this, and get them to start doing different sort of challenges. And I don't know how much is apocryphal or whatever, but apparently the last step is like getting kids to kill themselves. So if you type in Blue Whale, yeah, you can see that. And so it's one of these things, it's like you're trying to sort through the facts or whatever to that, but it, doesn't surprise me that, there is, somebody trying to find easily manipulated teens to be able to do that. And so, there are claims that there have been this many suicides, and there was just some footage that reportedly showed some girl jumping into a river and some guys pulling her out, whatever. And, allegedly it's tied into the Blue Whale thing, but you start getting into these sorts of, very weird, sort of like the Slender Man. Watch how Slender Man evolved from this sort of little meme into something that, like, something that, kids use to scare each other.
Yeah, well, and it's, I guess that's the thing, is to us, to anyone who watches a new medium evolve, the medium is always novel, and every time you hear a reference to the medium, it seems forced and wedged in, like, just because, like, you remember a time before that medium. But to anyone who grows up in the medium, it's the most natural, boringest thing in the world, the medium itself. And instead, what's interesting are the curious dark corners that you can explore. And really, the connections and stories that your friends plant in your mind that you trust and that they designed to scare you and so on. I don't know. I feel like there's something exciting and hypnotic and magnetic about participating in those kind of scare yourself ghost hunts, both in the virtual realm and in the physical realm.
Absolutely. We have that, and that's why we serve a very important function here at Weird Things. And that is
to serve you people by having you go to patreon.com/weird things. That's where you can directly support this very show.
Heck yeah. By the way, we are almost to our $600 an episode goal, which will unlock, what was it again, Bryce?
The Journey Saga.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, carving out all of Journey. It is a saga now, man. Yeah. We've been all around this stuff.
But it'll be a RSS feed just of Journey Quest, so you can go back and listen from the beginning.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, patreon.com/weird things. Your support is much appreciated. It makes this possible.
Absolutely.
I mean, we would do this anyways, but we just wouldn't share it with the world. It would just be us on a phone, which actually kind of does happen.
Yeah, no, a little bit. We want to bring those to you, so the forbidden phone call tapes will be released if we hit the right number. What's the right number? Who knows? Keep donating.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeff Bezos is fast approaching becoming richest man in the world.
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up, because it's important that all of us steal as much of his money as we can by using our free Amazon Twitch donations.
Twitch Prime. Sure.
Twitch Prime. Sorry.
Shirley, he is the world's second richest person.
Behind who?
Bill Gates. Bill Gates.
Gates is the king.
Even after all of his charitable giving, huh?
Well, you can hey, I'm gonna give up $1 billion, but I'm worth like a gazillion. So he leapfrogged. There was, oh gosh, pulling up one of these. I love how you go to mute some of these videos. Like, oh, you want to open this video and link to it somewhere else?
No, I don't.
That's a lie. That is a lie. Yeah. So Bill Gates is worth $86 billion. Jeff Bezos is worth $74.9 billion. And last week he added $3 billion to his net worth. Anyhow, Bezos, very rich man, very, very, very rich man, and so. He's getting closer and closer and closer to be able to, to rival or pass Bill Gates. And Bezos has committed himself to spending $1 billion a year on Blue Origin. That is his rocket technology company, his company dedicated towards putting humanity into space and building their own reusable rockets. In the next year or two, they plan on testing their new system, which is going to be the New Glenn rocket, which they're going to be kind of their own fully reusable stack, and he has plans for even larger ones. This is a real thing. This is not a small little hobby kind of thing. This is a major effort. $1 billion a year is on spending on reusable rockets is more than any government spending on full reusability. I mean, NASA does contracts with other agencies and stuff, but that's where the lion's share of money going into reusability is coming from Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos gave a talk the other day. He was actually talking to some kids, and he mentioned his plan for the idea of let's go to the moon. Let's put a permanent base on the moon at one of the caps. Let's do that, and let's keep it an ongoing way to make that happen. And so we're in this interesting age where this is this could happen. Could happen in our lifetimes. Could happen in the next decade or so.
And to me, the most remarkable aspect of it is the for lack of a better term, the boringness of it. Like the fact that it's just yeah, we're going to do it because we can. And it's kind of exciting that we're, doing it again. On the other hand, it's weird that it took this long for us to make it affordable. It's no longer a question of if, it's a question of when, right?
I would seem so. It would certainly seem so.
I guess unremarkableness would be the phrase I was thinking of.
But it will be unremarkable until it's very remarkable. Because
Right.
as soon as it happens, as soon as we put people on a spaceship to the moon so they can land there and be at a base, or we put somebody on a spaceship to Mars, that will be gigantic because that will be news. But right now, we're in this weird phase in terms of our news cycle where the news value of the pieces have kind of come and gone a little bit. They've demonstrated their reliability. They have become more and more stable in our frame of reference, and now it's just a matter of them actually going and actually doing, progressing to the point where it actually happens.
So a question got brought up in the chat room, and you hear this periodically, is why go to Mars before the moon? And we're not in a world where we have to choose necessarily. Certainly NASA needs to choose what its missions are going to be, but between Bezos making the moon his target, and Bezos is very much into the idea that the future of humanity is probably going to be living on asteroids or space habitats and not so much on planets, which I think there's a lot of merit to that idea. The rationale for, if you want to go to Mars and not stop over on the moon, it's that, well, you'll get to Mars faster that way. You're once you have your really powerful heavy lift rockets, it's just kind of a matter of where you want to aim them. And certainly there are some problems that will be solved by learning how to live on the moon that would apply to Mars, but Mars is a very different environment with very different resources and very different challenges. And if you want to go to Mars, and go to Mars is sort of the argument that it's like, yes, let's go build this base there on the moon. Okay. Got our base there. Now what? We're going to wait till we can build up a manufacturing base there before we go to Mars. That's not realistic. That could take 30, 40 years or never, So it's an expensive, it's a humongous cost. It's going to cost you about the same that it would cost to go to Mars.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is that it's not that there's a lot of things that need to be proved in a lunar base before we could confidently send them to Mars. So it's like, if you're looking at essentially, all things being equal, the pretty close to or similar cost, and yes, there's advantages in that you have more launch windows and that it's a shorter trip and all that stuff. But if the goal is pretty much just to be a practice thing before going to Mars, then at that point it does seem like you should just go to Mars.
Yeah,
Well,
it
'cause, like,
also
one of the-
seems to be a legacy of a bygone era when it comes to space travel, that we think, how do we order this? We should go to the moon first because it's closer, and we should do this. Whereas we don't need to order it. We have a bunch of companies that are putting a lot of money and are making different bets. And Bezos wants to set up a moon colony, and Musk wants us to go to Mars. Like, let's just take the meme. Why not both?
Yeah, there's part of the challenge of Mars is going to be converting, the local resources into fuel for a return trip, which the chemistry, the materials that are available there on Mars aren't available on the moon, so it's not going to apply. You're not going to learn anything. You might learn. You're not going to have major revelations about what will or will not work from doing that. Second is food production and growth. What can you grow in Mars regolith? What can you produce there from using those resources? Those are questions that are really answered by sending probes and building robotic missions that go to Mars and go do that. It's a, on one hand, we kind of like, well, the moon, the moon's already up there, so we kind of go there, but it's like, well, that's not the hard part. The hard part's getting completely out of the gravity well, and that's the same sort of technology that will do one or the other, just scaled up a bit, will do that. So that's sort of the reasoning. It sounds on one hand like, well, let's use this as a stepping stone, and that was an argument that was put forth by kind of the space industry heavily in the 90s, which was when we wanted to do our first, Bush announced this plan, like, let's really go to Mars. And NASA went to all of our contractors and said, hey, let's do this, guys. Let's come back with a mission plan to do this. And this thing was cost like,
all the money.
It would have been over the lifetime trillions of dollars to do this. It's like, well, first let's add a big hangar to the ISS. Let's build a rocket system that goes between Earth and the moon. Let's put orbiting systems on the moon. Let's build habitats on the moon. Let's do all this, then build a whole launch system. It's like, man, this sounds a lot like keeping government and contractors, in billions of dollars of funding for a long time. And it was ridiculous. It was absolutely absurd. And you understood why we don't have nice things. It's because there is the good side and the bad side of the public-private. The good side of the public-private is that good side public-private can be like what's happening with SpaceX and Blue Origin, and now ULA is sort of stepping up their game. Can be very, very good. Sierra Nevada, by the way, with their Dream Chaser, which looks like the mini shuttle, that seems to be proceeding along. There's a lot of cool things happen. The bad side is sort of like when you have one contractor or a couple contractors working in collusion with each other, they can be like, yeah, it's going to cost $500 billion. We might be able to get it down to like 450.
Hey, big dreams have a big price tag, and this price tag just happens to include that all of my grandchildren are going to still be working on this project in 70 years.
Yep, and that's the problem. That's just and it's pervasive. It's pervasive because I have friends who work at NASA, work at space agencies, and I was around somebody the other day who's a NASA employee who saw my SpaceX hat, and they go, I don't know if I should be offended by that. And I'm like,
why would you be?
Any
more than the postmaster general should be offended you're wearing a Jeep hat. It's like that makes no sense.
Yeah, but it was this. Oh, you're a little bit envy there. You're a little bit upset that this SpaceX getting a lot of love that you think should all be kind of your love, but you're the guys that get government to fund you. You're the guys that get people with guns to make sure that you're going to get funded. You're not the scrappy underdogs anymore, and it may feel like that, and it's not to downplay like the amazing stuff that NASA continues to do, and just some of those brilliant people in the world. But it was just this. I'm like, really? I'm like, I think this is going to make your stuff a lot cheaper to get it done. But it was that kind of like, and I've encountered that more than one occasion from people at NASA. Some of them are kind of this. There's a weird kind of a elitism in a sense.
Well,
because
there is just this, I think you saw it a lot in Britain in the post privatization era where British Airways used to be the official airliner of the United Kingdom. And then it was not, it was still thought of, it still acted like it was. But there was this idea that we are the ones who do the thing. And if other people are doing the thing and now everybody loves them because they're doing a thing a little differently, well, we've done it forever. We'll keep doing it. And let me say, I think we're all on record as believing that cheaper rockets means that the output of NASA for the next 40 years should be infinitely more interesting, explosive, and amazing than their last 40 years.
Hopefully not too explosive.
Hopefully not too expensive.
Explosive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hopefully not too explosive. I mean, they metaphorically explosive. Probably the wrong metaphor. But yeah, like now all of a sudden people are talking about the things that are changing the industry, and NASA, I think for us, is like, no, you're gonna do cooler stuff. This is great. Cheaper off the rack parts are never a bad thing for an industry or for an institution like NASA, and yet there is like a cultural thing. There's a weird culture war about talking about space that it gets a lot of other opinions wrapped up in it.
We get into like talks about like space funding, like, oh, we only NASA used to get funded this, like, yeah, during Apollo when it was a major part of the U.S. economy and was not popular at that point either. Which achieved something very major, but it was a very costly thing to do that then after 1973 was done. It was we kept this run rate going for a while. Then we're like, all right, we can't keep this going. And then we stopped because we didn't increase any efficiencies in things. We didn't come up with the technology it was like, hey, we could build, like a couple really awesome microchips, but after that, they're done. And that's what we built. We built like one-offs that just had there were a lot of spin-off technologies, but I get this all the time. People like, well, all these spin-off technologies. I'm like, dollar for dollar, which was more efficient, NASA or Bell Labs? What was more efficient? Xerox PARC or NASA? Like, I don't know, but I can tell you dollar for dollar what came out of those labs that has had humongous effects, and it was a fraction of what we spent on NASA. So getting in those arguments, like just because we got a benefit from it, you have to put a cost on that to do cost of benefit analysis to say, did we get efficiency? And that gets into this road of like, well, we should give more to NASA. Maybe we should, but is it being spent well? Look at overruns, look at all these other problems that we've had there. And also, like, our NASA is funded like 5 times more than the ESA, the second biggest space agency there is. And so it comes down to like, and that's not counting, some other countries too. Their entire space budget's also what they spend on military. You add in what we spend on military rockets and technology like that, it's huge. It is absolutely ginormous what we're spending on that. So,
do
are we
you
doing
think
it
it's
efficiently?
I don't know exactly how to describe or feel the emotion or the response to essentially the argument that somehow we're taking something away. I say we as if I'm a part of it. Somehow SpaceX and Blue Origin and privateers of the space race are taking something away from NASA, because by their charter, as I understand it, by their mission statements, by their goals, no more should Microsoft be afraid of more PC manufacturers than should NASA be afraid of more private rocketry companies.
Well, it depends. If you're the part of NASA that's maybe 15 to 20% of the budget that's going towards building the SLS, the big huge rocket system there, you are running the risk of, and this is the thing, that there are thousands of people, very highly skilled, very brilliant people, engineers and scientists between NASA and the contractors, working on a rocket, and every time they hear about a SpaceX success or Blue Origin announcing they're going to be building this heavy lift rocket and looking at their timetable when they deliver this, they're looking at a system within, if it gets delivered on schedule a year or two later, there could be a system that will cost $1 billion a launch, $1 billion per launch at minimum to do this. And they're looking at systems that are going to cost a fraction of that could be coming online around the same time as SLS. You kind of feel threatened. You feel threatened because it's going to be like, man, I spent the last 10 years on this rocket that maybe it'll launch once or twice. And then everybody's going to go like, why does it cost so much? And again, that's part of, it's just the way bureaucracies sort of work. It's not by any malevolent intent other than maybe pork barrel politicians. So I would say there's a threat there.
Yeah, that's got to be a bummer to anyone working on that stuff. But, I mean, of course, there's also, in general, I'm in favor of a diverse number of approaches to any problem. So even if, like that's, there's a lot of what we think of as garbage DNA in our bodies. And yet, truthfully, they for the health of a particular genetic code of a species to survive, you want as much diversity as possible, because what is a problem in one context can be a solution in another context, although it's very difficult for me to come up with a reason why the SLS at $1 billion is going to be better. That's the whole point, is it's because I can't predict why it might be good for space travel in general to keep that project.
I'll give you a reason. I'll give you in theory, the SLS is based upon engines and technology we've used before.
Yeah.
It's based on technology we've used before that's done heavy lift before. It's based on Shuttle and Saturn V. It's based upon existing systems that we're familiar with and we've used. It just put into a new configuration. And that's sort of the theory behind it, is that we know that we have reliability there. SpaceX is at 94% reliability between their the rocket launches they have, but that they still had, because they have a very big launch cadence too, but they haven't reached the same reliability of some of the more mature launchers have. Blue Origin has never reached orbit. Blue Origin's past the Kármán line, they've never reached orbit. So SpaceX has yet to lift a single heavy lift rocket. The Falcon 9 looks to be an amazing piece of technology. It's credible. The Falcon Heavy, hopefully it'll launch this year, has not launched yet. And like I said, so if you wanted to say, from pragmatically speaking, you're making your bet on the idea of the sort of the safer sort of tech, or the proven tech. And I would say, well, the shuttle success rate isn't really that high either, too. I would say that's sort of the argument. Is that we can hope that these private enterprise companies deliver, but there is this perhaps false sense of security that if it's a government sort of deal, like the James Webb Space Telescope is, 15 years late and like $15 billion over what originally was going to cost. So that argument sort of falls apart. But Ken says Blue Origin is a space tourism, not a space orbit company. That is news to Jeff Bezos. Bezos' plan with Blue Origin is fully to develop reusability, etc. They might be using the new Shepard rocket, which is the one they've tested for doing tourism, but tourism is one part of where they're looking to make money from. Blue Origin is their big part of what they're right now is they're building these BE-4 engines, which are going to be powering ULA rockets, or they're part of this for trying to be the next generation rocket engine. Absolutely full on trying to do orbit and build rocket technology. That is their mission statement. One of the things that's interesting too is that in Bezos's talk, he talked about how so much of the big revolution in artificial intelligence and vision systems and all that was powered by like NVIDIA graphic processing systems that were designed for playing games. Because we developed these systems for playing video games and we had to do these humongous numbers of cycles and use visual information, we're now reaping these benefits now from this, applying to everything. Self-driving cars use systems that were designed for games. And when you talk about spin-off technologies, we'll talk about like Tang or Velcro or, Pika, the heat-resistant tiles, which are really efficient. But people often forget, like, the reason we have electric cars now is because the consumer electronics industry and cell phones and laptops drove battery technology development. People go like, well, the first batteries were NASA. Rechargeables existed before NASA, and rechargeable battery development largely blossomed once private company tried to say, hey, how do we put these things everywhere? And we sometimes downplay, we take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially battery tech. I mean, like the cheapness and quality of batteries over the last 25 years have kind of powered literally every rad technology trend that we have seen. There's really not a sector of technology that is not affected by that, fortuitous curve.
Yep. Fortuitous curves, like plot twists.
Maybe it's time for a little journey quest.
Oh, and hold on. You know what? I need you guys to do a little bit of ballyhoo and hold up here because I've got to actually find the latest recap for Journey Quest, which I forgot to send to Bryce.
Oh, well, if I remember correctly, I was God.
Well, let's reset up. Just for those of you who are new here, Journey Quest is a long-form interactive story that has taken both Brian and I through space and time, through a post-apocalyptic wasteland where I was on the hunt to find my wife and friend. It has now taken us through time and really revealed some frightening elements of alternate dimensions. But let's go ahead and get a recap as to where we are right now.
Previously on
Journey Quest!
Oh, hello, Justin. I'm so glad to see you. I'm Morgan Freeman.
I want Brian Braju to be brought back to life, and I personally believe he not only should, but deserves to have superpowers that I will never have.
The server bandwidth is getting out of control. The simulation's coming to an end.
Oh, no! Yeah, if I remember correctly, we got sort of teleported some version of Brian from another world, but some version of Brian and Justin are now walking across the alkali wastes of some strange otherworldly plane on a quest for the Black Canyon.
Right. So you're on the quest for the Black Canyon, which is totally not like the Dark Tower, guys. It's totally different.
Even if it was, it would obviously be a parodical parody.
And where, Dark Tower took its influences from, let's say, Sergio Leone westerns, this is more of a John Ford.
Okay, gotcha.
Totally. Wide open vistas and landscapes. You guys keep stopping all the time like, man, are we in Monument Valley? This is beautiful. This is beautiful. But like you're walking along, dust storm, and you hear something large and in back of you, and you're kind of a little bit afraid of what to do, and you're not quite sure what you should do because you feel like you're being followed, but you're something very, very, very menacing. It's got this sort of like the back of your neck. It's like the static is causing you to raise up.
Okay, wait. Real quick point of inquiry. Did Brian wind up getting the superpowers? Was that part of the bargain?
I mean, you certainly said those words. I guess we'll find out.
We're gonna find out.
All right, so I don't know, and I feel weird about this version of Brian because the version of Brian that I'm trying to save is probably dead at this point on the floor of Matthew McConaughey Hitler's residence.
Possibly, yes.
I asked Justin. I was like, Justin, you look pensive. You look like you're concerned. Is there something you want to get off your chest?
No, let's just go to the Black Canyon and make the difficult decision on whether or not we want to go back.
Okay, well, man, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling this tingling at the back of my neck, like I feel like something's coming up behind us, but there's this storm in front of us. Which direction do you want to go?
I look backwards. Do I see anything?
A looming large shadow.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, it seems like the devil you know, right? Let's just hop into this. I don't know what that is, but I say we jump in the dust storm.
Jump in the dust storm?
Yeah, no, that was that hot new dance from 1987. Jump in the dust storm, and you started by covering your eyes, and you sort of swam upstream through.
Close mouth.
Yeah,
That was a
exactly.
popular part of the dance where you close your mouth and eyes.
I mean, it seems like that's the safer place to be, but I'm down to back your play. You want to investigate?
Oh, let's go. Let's go into the dust storm.
So you go into the dust storm and you feel like you see like some large shadow just whiz right towards you, like something's coming at you very, 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 very fast.
I dive down and make myself flat on the earth and hope that the dust covers me.
I follow Brian's step by step, which also mirrors the 1975 hit song "Jump Into the Dust Storm."
So you duck down and then you look up and you see what looks like almost like a giant fist go past you.
A giant.
And you hear what may be the sound of pneumatics and hydraulics.
I asked Justin, I was like, did you see that? It looked like a fist, and it sounds like the sound of pneumatics. They go...
And hydraulics.
Yeah, it looks like we are being followed by a gigantic man-robot creature in the dust storm, which was not part of the song.
So did it... is it nearby? Can we tell if it's nearby?
It just threw a punch at you.
Well, I mean, but it missed. Can it see us, you think?
Yeah, it's following us. You think it's just blindly throwing punches around dust storms?
I mean, we're in a dust storm. How hard is it to see in this dust storm?
You only see a few feet ahead. Now you see a looming shadow coming over you, what looks maybe like the outline of a foot, coming right down towards you where you're laying.
All right, I roll off to the side, and as I'm rolling, I'm like, oh, yeah, you should roll too.
I get up and start running as fast as I can to try to escape the shadow of the falling foot.
I keep on rolling. I'm just rolling.
Boom! The thing slams down right in the middle of where you were. Now you're separated by a giant foot.
All right, I jump up and I try to jump onto the foot to see if I can ride it. I don't know how hard it's.
Can I get on the foot?
You grab the foot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you grab the foot and you're trying to hold on, but it's very, very slippery and you slide right off.
Okay, I back up trying to get a view of the entire creature. Can I see the whole thing?
You see part of the foot and you're kind of confused because you're looking at like the base of the foot, and while you're expecting, I don't know, something oily and mechanical, you actually see fish.
Oh. Huh. You know what? I'm going to try to reason with this thing. I say, hey!
Hand comes down and nearly flattens you.
Okay, dodge it. What about you, Justin? Try asking it a riddle.
We need to get the hell out of here.
It can run faster than us. I think. You know what? I think you're right. Which way? I guess pick a direction. I follow Justin.
Do we have anything? Do we have anything on us? Any kind of supplies?
Oh, you picked up a magic potion when you rolled a 17. No, you don't have anything.
We continue to jump in the dust storm then as we make our way on our original path, but we try to now cognizant of this fish monster.
And running. We're running.
I mean, it was only part of the boot where you saw that, and it looked like it was a tank, like a fish tank.
Wait a minute. Hold on. This. I think I know where we are, Brian.
Wait,
You hear in the background, underneath the sounds of the pneumatics and the hydraulics.
Who would have a fish heel?
No.
In all of his resplendentry, it is the house music Fuhrer himself, Bryce Neshcom Castillo, in his gigantic robot suit.
Everyone, get on the floor. It's time to party.
Oh, man.
Wait a minute. All right, so that's the question. Is he trying to kill us, or is he just dancing?
I think he's just dancing. Maybe he doesn't even realize we're here. I repeat my call. Hey! 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 Hey!
You get a glitter bomb in your face.
Oh my God! I begin weeping uncontrollably, knowing that I'm gonna get this goddamn glitter all over the place for the next 6 months.
And then let's recall, what was your last interaction with if it is Bryce?
I believe he sent us out on a task, which we fulfilled to great success.
Did you?
Well, we
murdered everybody in a rival town, which usually is among your first 3 things to do. Say hello, ascertain where we are, immediately kill at least one, if not multiple people.
that was, I'm sure he wanted some of those people killed. We did, hey, we did you a big favor.
No, then he came to try to kill us to cover up the loose ends of the fact that we had just done his dirty work and massacred everybody in that town.
Yeah. I start shouting, "Shame on you, Disco Man!"
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
All right. We need to stop it. We know that we have to offer him something of value so he at least stops trying to kill us and we can maybe make our escape. Like we need to get his attention and obviously he remembers us because he's trying to kill us.
Yeah.
You're heading towards, you see kind of like a narrower canyon where maybe you can lose him because his mecha body, which we don't know where he got that from, by the way. That's still a mystery. You think perhaps you might be able to lose him there, so you have that option to go there. You have like wide open plains that maybe you can head towards. You hear a train in the distance too.
Run to the train. Run to the train.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try to get to the train.
Okay.
But first I say, oh my God, are those Diamond Town aircraft flying to you? Hoping that he turns around so we get a little bit of a head start.
Huh? What? Where?
So you guys start heading towards there, and you're running towards the train, and you see the train in the distance, and you're pumping your arms as fast as you can run, and then you hear Bryce behind you. All of a sudden, the sandstorm sort of died down, and you're clump, 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 and you turn back and you see the giant mech, and it is amazing. I mean, the way the cape is rippling in the wind.
If I'm not mistaken, that looks to me like it's an assembly of nanobots working in a fabric-like tandem to manufacture resplendence in concentrated form.
Or, just Mylar.
Sequence.
Majestic either way. Still a great night.
Great. It's great. And so, it's an impressive looking mech. It's a lot of gold, a lot of filigree, a lot of rhinestones, a lot of other things. It works together the way the light hits it. You guys stop there for a moment to admire it. You're really impressed. And there's actually like a built-in speaker system.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look and you see a bubble, and the way it's controlled, it's actually a DJ booth.
Oh man.
That's how he drives it, as he spins records to make it go forward or back.
Damn. I checked my inventory for glow sticks.
Yeah. You see him reach over to a cabinet and pull out a record album as he just stares. The mech stops and he just stares at you. He's pulling one album out. And now you see the cover. And now you're really worried.
Is it Metallica's Master of Puppets?
Yes, Brian. It's exactly what it is.
I knew it. I knew it would be. Justin, this is bad news. We better get on this train.
He takes it out, puts it on one turntable. He's got another turntable. He's taking out another album, Because remember, he don't just play them; he mixes them.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Is it the streak from the 1970s?
No, it's not it. It's not
Okay.
it. Any
Is
guesses?
it Fab Five Freddy?
No, it's not.
Is it Darude Sandstorm?
No, it's not that. He's holding it edgewise so you can't see the album, and he's slowly turning the album to reveal it towards
Oh
you.
my God, it's Fleetwood Mac.
Yes, you can go your own way. Boom, slams that down, mixes it, and then starts a beat machine and mixes them together. And this thing starts grooving and running towards you full speed.
Okay, look, are we? How close are we to this train that we hear?
It's still kind of small in the distance.
I'm still running as fast as we can. Although I try to shout out some brain teasers and paradoxes in an attempt to confuse it with logic. I was like, everything Justin says is a lie. Say something, Justin.
You are great.
No, damn it, no. You're supposed to say I'm lying. Have you not read any science fiction story? I'm still running. I'm getting out of breath. I'm just like, we have to distract it with logic.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to distract it by saying like, oh, well, that's clearly the reissue of Go Your Own Way. Like, I'm
and it
really
stops, picks up the album to look at it.
I'm running as hard as I can.
Shakes head, he shakes it, puts it back down.
No, I'm shocked that you wait. That's not the original Master of Puppets. That was the 1999 anniversary edition.
He's about to be. He shakes his head and keeps running towards you.
I was like, do you take requests?
This infuriates him.
Yeah.
No
He aims a fist at you. And foam just shoots out.
All right, are we any closer to the train?
You'd be close to the train right now, but the train still seems kind of small in the distance.
Okay, Justin, I feel like. Is it just featureless desert in all directions? We've got nothing but our wits about us. Wait, what if we tell them what if we lie? I say, hey, we have intelligence to report.
It's not buying that.
Okay, keep running for the train.
Yeah. You just grab some rocks and threw them at you now, too.
Well, okay.
So you're getting there. You see the train. It's getting closer. You're about to intercept it. And you notice something peculiar about this train.
Yeah?
It's not a full-size train. That's why you thought you'd be there already.
Oh, it's a kid train? How fast is it going?
Like, it's going a little bit. It's like a little train. It's like this sort of like if you ever go to the Los Angeles Live Steamers, this club out here where they've got the little trains you can ride.
Yeah.
It's that size train.
They got one in Zilker Park here, too.
Like
Look, I know this
mall
train.
Trains?
Huh?
Like one of those mall trains?
Yeah.
Smaller.
Oh, gosh.
I was
But here's the cool part.
Yeah.
You look, there's an engineer sitting on the locomotive.
How big is he?
He's not Lilliputian. he's maybe 4 foot tall.
I call out to him. I call out to him, and I was like, help, you gotta save us.
And you get closer to realize it's a chimpanzee dressed like an engineer.
Oh, dude. I was like, monkeys, bananas. Do you like bananas?
And his motions, this hand, like, motions towards you to get on the train.
Hop on, dude. Hop on the train.
We hop on the train, and I say, conductors, step on it.
All right. And he's like, pulls the whistle. Woo, woo. Turns back and smiles at you.
I bristle at the grin, terrified he's going to eat my fingers.
Yeah, he doesn't know if he's supposed to do that or not.
I yell, let's see if these bastards can do 90.
He turns and he pulls the whistle again. Woo, woo, smiles because he thinks that's what you want.
All right, go, make
quick, fast, go.
Bryce is getting closer. Thump, 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 thump.
I start.
I'm the master. Okay.
I start making promises. I'll pick mites off your back. I'll give you grapes.
He starts
treasure.
to point towards another lever and looks at you like this.
Yeah. Go.
Pull the lever.
Pulls that lever. Big cloud of steam. Whoosh. Train starts picking up. Bryce is right behind you, though, man. Bryce is stomping on the track. The track's getting chewed up by this. Thump, thump, thump. You feel the vibrations through the train. He's reaching out there trying to grab at the caboose. You turn around, Brian, rather, you see this big hand coming towards you.
I figured now's a good time for me to taunt him as we're clearly going to escape. I say, nice try, Jerko. P.S. Vinyl sucks.
And he grabs the caboose, and he starts pulling on the train backwards.
Hey, is that from the album Load, the Metallica song? I'm pretty sure it's from Load. I don't know. You should check the date on it.
While Justin is doing this, I'm looking to see if there's any pins I can pull that link the cars together.
You see, there's a button in front of the chimp, and the chimp's looking at the button, has his finger pressed over the button. He looks back at you. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I press the button. Press the button.
No. But the chimp would be gone, right? The chimp's on the caboose.
No, he's driving the train.
Yeah, no, he's up in the engine.
Train. Okay, good. Yeah, no, they get rid of the caboose.
You want to press the button. You know, he's a chimp. Does he know what you want?
You know what? Can I see?
He wants a quorum. Do both of you want you to press the button?
Wait, no. Can I see the button? Can I see the button?
Big red button, Brian.
I was like, go ahead, hit the red button.
And the chimp brings his hairy finger down. Next time on Journey Quest.
It wasn't from Load.
No, it wasn't.
It was an earlier Metallica. Load's a controversial album for Metallica fans.
That's what I like about Journey Quest. Very linear storytelling. You know?
I mean, it's pretty by the books, right? I mean, you can kind of the whole thing writes itself. I don't know why
the
we
chimpanzee driving the tiny little train, that was pretty telegraphed. I know that was kind of like.
Why even listen to it if it's just going to be spelled out for you?
Yeah. Gentlemen, is it time for picks?
Yeah, I got a pick. I just finished a book today that I enjoyed quite a bit. It's called Blackfall by a guy named Andrew Main that I just finished on audiobook. I'm very, very excited to get caught up on all you've got more audiobooks coming out. How soon?
I got in a couple weeks. I'm going to have Station Breaker will be out on audiobook, and then a little while after that, I think Orbital, and then we're going to have a few more months into summer, we should have The Naturalist.
Right on, man. I'll tell you what, I'm really, really glad that so many of your titles are coming to audio because that's the only way I do, certainly fiction these days. But yeah.
Cool. Hope you liked it.
I wound up meeting a guy at Twitch on Friday that I was just talking to. He's this British dude. And it turned out, it's so funny how things are like viral. Like we think of the internet as this universal kind of thing because we can experience funny things from around the world. Like one of our favorite sketch comedy groups right now is from Australia, and we follow them as if we also lived in Australia. But so much of the internet is also regional in terms of what people find funny. And the guy I was talking to, turned out he had like a very successful viral video called Gapyah, Gapyah. It is this movie or this video making fun of rich people in Britain. But he had all these fun stories about how far this video kind of took him. And he wrote a book and he did a single. He wound up getting put on all these like eligible bachelor lists in England. But I would for those of you who are in England, I don't know if it's something that everybody knows, but I found it really funny. It's all, it's certainly social satire that probably makes it's a little bit more relevant over there where you can pick up some of the parody, but it was great. And I enjoyed kind of going down the rabbit hole of that out of touch patrician character.
Very cool. Very cool. My pick is, I went on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Oh,
at
yeah.
Disneyland. which was the former Tower of Terror, and now it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which, by the way, I loved it even as Tower of Terror. I know the acting was kind of cheesy on it, but the whole idea of going into a Twilight Zone-y kind of space was fun.
So here's my I think the walkthrough and a lot of the stuff was really, really well done, and it's neat. They've had like over there the Marvel like the experience or whatever where you could kind of walk through and see the expo and see some stuff, but this is one of our first like full on like Marvel kind of rides, although it's obviously a reskinned ride from before. And I thought it was extremely well produced. The details were wonderful. When you walk in, you've got the collectors there, Benicio del Toro, this big, huge gold statue of him. And you get a lot of little insights. It takes place in sort of a sideways universe to the Marvel, to the MCU. So it's got elements from there, but that way people aren't just picking apart like inaccuracies, whatever. There's large, like, I'll show you a couple little details that I loved. For instance, that's this is when you walk in.
That is great. I think that's also on your Twitter and Instagram, right?
Yeah, so that's the collector, and then you see things like you go in there and you're in the collector's collection, and you look up and you see all the different things there, and there's a lot of little in jokes. Remember Figment from like Journey to Imagination?
Oh, Figment's in there?
Figment is in one of the boxes.
That's great.
So Figment's been collected, and then there's cool things like like paintings of the collector, and apparently there is a painting where he is standing next to his brother. Do you know who his brother is?
Jeff Goldblum.
Yep, Jeff Goldblum, who in Thor Ragnarok, you look up in details, you get things like Hydra weapons are there, which is kind of cool. And so it's a fun kind of experience. You go into the waiting room and an animatronic Rocket Raccoon, or parts of him are like basically he's taking over the ride because you're going to try to bust out the other Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Marvel. I'm going to say, and I'm not one of these people like, oh, you changed my favorite ride. I'm like, the ride to me was more fun than what it was Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, because it was this, you felt like you're going to this old hotel, you felt like you're going to this, and it is, I forget how short this one is compared to Orlando. It was so short that like, man, I was very fortunate in that a friend had Club 33 access, so that we got like fast passes and we got ahead of the line for everything. If I'd waited 3 hours, I'd be a very bitter person.
Wow.
That's one of those feelings that I was spoiled going to like Halloween Horror Nights, like for the first time since I was like a kid, and it was just nice being around friends. Like as an adult, hanging out with Brian while he was performing at Halloween Horror Nights, it's like, hey, that's a pretty cool haunted house for just walking in the front and walking through it and being done with it. Like if I had to wait the like stated 3 hours to get through this and I got to it, I'd be like, no, geez, I would be upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, the line was absolutely crazy, like up to 7 hours at some points to get into there. And again, I enjoyed it, very, very much enjoyed it, and we'll see where the park goes there. But it was kind of like, man, like that was, I had to wait 15 minutes to go on there. I'm like, if I waited 3 hours, and because like you're literally, you go through, you do the drops, you're like, this is over now. You're like, wow, this is, and I think that, for something about the original Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, the music and everything else was such a cool kind of experience. And I get it, trying to the Marvelization. There's lots of cool little in jokes there, and there are stories apparently that there's like a hidden like shield or Avengers like manhole cover somewhere that looks like they're hinting at something. There's talk that they're going to continue on expanding that part of the park into a whole little Marvel theme park, because it's in California Adventure, which could certainly use some more attractions there. But people point out the Avatar line. Well, like, yeah, it's a 2 mile long line for Avatar, but apparently that whole, what's that?
What? That's
it's two. I mean, it's like, but that's a themed part of the ride though, is that line.
Got it.
Can you imagine what it's going to be like for Star Wars Land?
Oh my God, it's going to be insane, and it's I think we're in a very, very interesting time for theme parks because you've got a lot of this like super obviously universes and the intellectual property around it are about as hot as they possibly can be, and we are in a modern day, warfare, especially between Universal and Disney, to continue to build the destinations of the summer. And it was Harry Potter that spawned Pandora, that spawned another Harry Potter ride, that spawned, now the Star Wars thing and the Marvel stuff. And Disney is really flexing their muscle at this point. And I can't imagine what those lines for Star Wars are going to be because, I got friends that are like Disney season pass holders in Orlando that even for the pre-hours that you can get in because you've, got the special tickets, the lines are still insane comparatively to what they should be when you were just walking in and nobody's literally there. People are parachuting in to go on Pandora, which Avatar, despite being, one of the most profitable movies of all time, isn't exactly something that a lot of people talk about on a daily basis in the same way that they do for Star Wars.
No,
so,
it's weird, and I think I heard I forget who it was over at the Cracked podcast talking about just how weird it is that it's like for as big of a moneymaker as it was, it has virtually no cultural cachet. Like just nobody talks about anything about it. It's weird. It's weird. Like we don't talk about Pandora.
Yeah, you'll see, at a comic book convention, you'll see the most obscure character from a print run of 10,000 copies.
Yeah.
I've yet to see a single Avatar character.
Navi, yeah.
Or Jake, anybody. I've never seen. I'm sure it's happened, but it's like, yeah, it's not. It's interesting. But for originally, what they were going to do for Animal Kingdom was, if you look at the old, like some of the old logos and stuff, you would see there was a dragon in the middle of it, and they were going to do like this sort of land of animals that never were, which was sort of a very neat idea to do a fantasy animals, and that didn't happen. So then, the idea, I love the idea, let's do an alien planet, alien ecosystem, and I think that Jim Cameron's alien ecosystem is the most developed one we've ever had. So I think that's cool. And I hear the attractions sound fantastic. I got to talk to somebody who helped develop like the original Muppet Vision 3D, and he was telling me about some of the things that they were going to do originally for the Muppet. They had plans for all sorts of different Muppet-based attractions until Jim Henson died. And like,
wow.
A surrounded video Muppet river raft ride.
Oh, that's great.
Which
What
just
bummer.
Yeah, what a loss. What a loss on so many levels.
Real quick, just to go back to how short Mission Breakout is, there's a viral video going around of a local LA Anaheim, television station of a guy going on Mission Breakout, and it's funny. It's going viral because the guy's freaking out and screaming and passing out like during the Mission Breakout thing. But the entire clip's like 4 minutes, and there's like a minute of talking on either side of it.
So the full experience was like 3 minutes long.
Of Mission Breakout.
Wow.
From it starting to it ending, and it is, whoo, that is quick. Like that is a blink and you'll miss it ride length.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the challenge, is that, as theme parks increase their capacity, is getting people through. And, one of the fun things about Pirates of the Caribbean is Pirates is like this fun, like the length of that is great. Because, comparing it to other rides, like, Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, like I love the reskin Space Mountain it's Hyperspace Mountain. I love that with the X-Wings and all that. That's such a fun sort of spin on it. But any event. Totally, if you're there and it's not too huge of a line, check it out. So.
Eventually, in 2 years, when it's when it's only an hour and a half.
Yeah, Dan Wallace's Wikipedia says 2 minutes 10 seconds is the length. I believe that. I 100% believe that is the length of the ride.
Wow.
Which is and again they do a lot more to try to build up the sort of the experience when you're going through there. And where do you count the ride too? Because there's the little pre-show and there's a little thing when you go on there, but. It's a challenge. It is a challenge, which, maybe we'll do a future episode about what's going to be the future of theme parks when we all have VR. So.
I mean, I think there'll always be a place where you want to be there with other people, and that there's spectacle, there's space arrangements that that aren't possible at home that you can get somewhere else? I don't know. That's a good question.
Good question. Gentlemen, it's been weird.
It certainly has.
Has it though?
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
Okay.
Right back.
More after this. EIB. All right, I think people got home, so I'm going to check and find out.
Okay.
It's weird. There's just kids here all the time now. It's summer.
Oh,
When vacation
snap.
started?
This is Penny's out of school. Josie's about to be out of school.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Is the call for horse camp again ringing through the streets of Austin?
Not so much horse camp. Penny almost wasn't able to go to acting camp. She's going to be in a play, but luckily we were able to get her in.
And I'll tell you what, I really, these weekends really make me miss parties. Nobody does a pool party out here.
Really?
No
what
one's
do they
got.
do?
There's no like.
They don't do like picnics or get-togethers or
I
barbecue.
mean, maybe I'm sure that there's picnics and stuff. And I went to a barbecue at Snubs' place on Saturday. But like, just the regular availability of houses with pools for which people have parties at. It's, I mean, granted, that just might be a lot more in Florida where those things are more common. But it's just not around, man. I don't know. I just like getting drunk, pushing people into pools. It's something that I really like.
You wanted to do one thing this weekend.
Well, it wasn't that I felt the need to do it. I saw other friends in my group chat at pool parties, and I'm like, I'd love to push them all into the pool, man. That'd be great.
Oh, man.
Yo. All right, let me check something here.
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna go get me a Coke.
Go for it. We did not. I don't believe we got any After Things questions. I'll look one more time, but I don't think we did.
Man, I said it before, but I'll say it again. We got a damn fine, handsome-looking podcast. Look at these studios. We look amazing. And I defy you to disagree. Chicken. Told you.
Oh, is this? For you.
Do we have a letter, or do we need a direction?
I was just saying we don't have a letter.
So maybe I'll do it next week, but that whole project I was making to make it very easy to do create your own affiliate site thing,
Yeah.
it's like pretty much done.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Right on.
And is this also like an integration for Author Page?
No, it's just its own. I built it. It's separate, its own platform, because it was just like you can just. It was just easier to do like just a total rewrite of the thing, but it's a. I built in some really good logic and stuff like that, and to make it very easy to. You log into Twitter, so it's super easy to get running, and but that's
cool.
the.
Oh, that looks really nice.
Yeah,
A
so
little bar.
So if you want to add something to your quick add, you just press that. It's like, give me the name of a book or title, anything you want.
Oh, and so it'll search. It's got search built into
Yeah,
it. That's
so-
great.
What's something you like?
How about
Master of Puppets by Metallica. Also, Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac.
So boom. All I have to do now is click. I can do a little quick review, but all I have to do is click submit, and boom, it's posted to my tiny.shop page.
wow?
And I have all that row in the middle there is all the hashtags I've used before.
Oh, that's
and so I
smart.
can slide through there and just click one, and it'll pop a hashtag in there. So
Wow. And so that creates an affiliate link, right? So that you get a
absolutely,
little
if
bit
you
of a commission.
if you saved your affiliate link into your preferences, it saves it there. So anytime you mention or say, "Hey, this is cool, check it out." So next show I'll have like a video to show it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And because I didn't even add music, but because I used made a custom Google search engine that then parses through Amazon, and so it pulls up the keyword, and so it popped in and said, "Oh, this is you probably Master of Puppets by Metallica. This is music." So you just click submit. So if I click submit right now, it'll go to my main page, and I'll have a hashtag, little icon for music if I haven't had one before, and it pulls up random artwork from whatever uses that hashtag to create it. So
Wow, that's great.
I spent a lot of time on it.
People are talking about all their pool party problem solutions. No phone policy at pool parties.
And I can't believe we're already just a few months away from a new iPhone.
I can't believe we're almost halfway through the year.
It's
Yeah.
dude, we're in the time warp now, man. You get to a certain age and you just blink. You're like, what? Well, I guess you're perpetually, because as you age, time seems to go faster and faster. So at any given moment, you are, no matter what age you are, you're marveling at how much faster things seem to be moving.
Yeah. Do you think it has something to do with having more to do? Like I was doing the rewind on Saturday. I was like, I can't believe it's actually been 1 week since we've did that stream
Because it's so fast.
Because
right?
it's so fast. But like the whole week in between, I was like nonstop.
Do you know what I think it is? The fastest year of my entire life was the last year that I worked full time at Dell, and I think there's something about rhythm that just each moment feels like an eternity, but a week goes by like that, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the fastest year of my life. To be honest, now is the second fastest year because there's a rhythm to the podcasting, and it's like for example, I woke up this morning and I was like, holy crap, it's Monday again, it's that day, and then and I'm like, wow, everything just blinked past. But I used to recoil from that notion in horror, and that's why I loved being on tours, because every day, every week was so completely different. But I think that there is some joy in the rhythm of that now as well, like being there. That's the price I have to pay to be there every morning for Callie. Like every morning she wakes up and there's a rhythm to, hey, it's time to get up. And you're like, yeah, it is. And she's like, are you going to do your big stretch? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, you do this big stretch. You go, "Rah." And I was like, oh yeah, I am doing that. And then, and then it's like, now you go downstairs and you get a Diet Coke, right? I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And that's
First thing in the morning, Brian.
oh, geez, you kidding me? Literally,
I did have spaghetti.
there's
and Coke
nothing
for
better,
breakfast,
nothing better than cracking that Coke Zero this morning. Nom, 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 nom.
Oh, by the way, I think Auntie Donna is Saturday.
This Saturday?
I think so.
No, it's the 17th. I have it on my calendar.
Oh, is it the 17th?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
I mean, I might be wrong.
Something is happening this weekend, and I don't know what it is.
Do you know what happened last weekend that we missed? Was Jeff B. Davis and friends performing Whose Line Is It Anyway live at the Bass Concert Hall in Austin. Yeah. So that would have been fun.
Yeah. Something is happening this week. I have no idea.
Something is happening this week, I swear!
Wait, is Float Fest this week? Because I kept wanting to get tickets to Float Fest. Hold on, give me 1 second while I look up Float Fest.
We blew up
No,
a
that's-
car yesterday.
We did blow up a car. No? Is it the deadline for tickets? No, that's June 7th. I don't know what's going on. Something's got to be going on this week.
So yeah, Auntie Donna, the 15th they are here in the Bay Area, and the 17th they go to Austin.
Hey, is it too outlandish an idea for us to... by the way, I don't know. I think somebody bought me a ticket or two.
They bought you tickets?
I think Waffleophagus did, yeah.
Oh.
But otherwise, I'm just assuming I could talk to the boys and be like, yo, bro, come on. What are you going to do?
Oh, I thought the other half of that sentence was, which is weird because I bought a dozen tickets.
No.
Yeah.
So like, I'm wondering, like, should we Grateful Dead it up and I'll fly out to you and we go see a show, and then you fly out to Austin and we
What are
see a
those
show?
dates? I think we'd and during one of the after shows where we do nothing but make fanciful plans that never come to pass. I think that was at some point one of the ideas, but that's gonna be a tough time for me to take a.
Oh, that's right. I think you even brought that up, that you're going to be in the middle of Action News.
Yeah.
Stuff.
That's a Saturday.
I mean, that's fine. In fact, just.
I mean, that being said, of the cities that I could travel to, like Austin's probably on the list just because I can continue to do everything.
You know what we should do is we should give them a gift in 2 parts. Something where the first half makes no sense when Justin gives it, but then the second half has context when I give it or something.
You should get them one of those best friend amulets, but it's only 2 parts, so they have to fight over who gets which part.
Right on.
You give them 2 gifts and just be like, "This is for you. You know who you are."
Do you remember the name of the talented musician that's the virtual 4th member of the group?
Well, they got their 2 behind the scenes guys.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I hate Auntie Donna Boys and the guy who does the music.
Yeah, both totally awesome.
I think it's
No, they were awesome.
God, what a great night that was.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh,
oops.
Man, I'd say, like, if I wasn't invited to that, I would have just killed myself. Because right there in L.A., I mean...
So one of the nice things about Club 33, going there and feeling it.
Oh, is that...
5-course meal was a bit excessive.
Is that you're constantly hanging out with former members of Monty Python? No, I mean, not that we got to talk to
All
them.
right, boys, put them away. We can get your measuring sticks out later. It's Memorial Day. Let's not.
I mean, when you're given a stack of unlimited fast passes, it'll get you into any ride you want to. You're kind of like on the busiest weekend of the year. You're kind of like.
I mean, we definitely did that for 20 people when we were at Disney last year. Which was cool too.
That was pretty
the
great.
world. And that was really only because we became a disruptive to the park, and then it was easier for them to throw us through rides than deal with us in lines.
Hey, by the way, if you thought that there was a chance for the Hall of Presidents cheering thing to be a thing before, I guarantee you it's going to be a thing from now on.
I really want to do another Big Diz, and I have no idea where it would fit in. I have no idea when it would fit in, but I feel like there's got to be some, like...
It was so good. So it was so just
fun.
about.
I had such a great time.
We were some Icarus-looking MFers, but we got away fine.
All right, are we ready for after?
Heck yeah.
Ready for after things.
You ready for after things? All right. Then take it away, Andrew, in 3, 2.
Welcome to After Things, the show where we talk about things after weird things. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood.
That's a fact.
Justin Robert Young.
Oh, yeah, it's me.
So, gentlemen, here is the topic for today. Going solo, partnering, or teamwork. Because it's one of the things I've dealt with a lot in life is sometimes I just like to kind of do things at my own pace and get things done. Sometimes you pair up with somebody because part of the excitement and the coolness comes from working with somebody else. And then sometimes you work on a team. And I've found that it's hard to partner. It's really, really, really hard to partner. I have a project working on with somebody that they're into it, but they kind of like, I get last minute, oh yeah, I can't do this or whatever. And you're like, I could have known this 24 hours ago and you knew this 3 days ago kind of thing. And it's, you know, you don't want to nag, you don't want to be that person. And it gets frustrating. And I think of like why I sometimes like to do things solo. And I think we're talking a little bit before about how you get the last minute, oh, can we change this? Can we change this? Can we change this? Does that ever stop? Is it just a matter of communications? What's going on?
So, Dave Ramsey, the financial coach and radio host, says that the only ship guaranteed to sink is a partnership. He's not a fan of business partnerships in general because they do tend to break down. This is interesting because my career started with the breakup of a partnership. I originally poured my first 2 years of efforts into Magic into a 2-person duo, and there was a breakdown of the partnership. There was an inequality that was not satisfactory. That we had differing opinions, and then we split. And I was like, well, now I have to learn how to do everything on my own, and that was very, very difficult. Strangely, in the world of podcasts, I guess everything was pretty much solo for a good 15-year stretch. But even as soon as I started creating content, I realized the value of having somebody to bounce ideas around. The very first thing I ever did was Brian Brushwood on the Road 10 years ago on YouTube. And that's me and my assistant on the road. Shortly after that, Scam School was ostensibly a solo endeavor, but, everything since Scam School, I've had somebody else to partner with. And I think it's been, on balance, really, really good. And yes, there is that constant compromise, but it's confined to its one particular bubble. Like, I would be horrified about, take everything that I'm doing and if I picture me and one other person besides Bonnie splitting all that, although that's another partnership, that's horrifying. But the idea of having no less than 6, 7 co-hosts for all the various endeavors that I do, because everything is locked into its own place, I don't fear getting too trapped behind something. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some things you can keep it going, but I've had some of the best things I've ever had in my life have come through that. But part of it too, it's like you work with somebody who's never really partnered with somebody too, and that's been a frustrating thing for me is that communication issue, is like finding out an hour before, like, oh no, I'm here, I can't do this. It's like, how many times do I have to say, let me know, tell me this is going to happen, and when do you draw the line?
I think part of that is the hygiene of a good partnership are good deadlines, and understanding that a partnership is really only as good as the project that it's working on. And either you are working on a project with a deadline that you need to go, be it a creative partnership where you want to do shows, or you want to do, Andrew and I working on blogs and podcasts and everything like that. Those were ongoing things, but if they didn't get done, then there was a red flag. And very often those can be the enforcers for, hey, we gotta do this, and if you're gonna cancel this, then we gotta reschedule it. But it's hard because, to manage that kind of stuff, it can often lead to hurt feelings, and when things get stressed, you have a lot of different ways that you can lash out, and that was so. Sorry.
Oh, well, I was going to ask.
It's you, Brian. I'm talking about you, Brian.
Well, no, I don't think we've talked a lot about the nature of having a good partnership. I think there are things you should expect from a partnership arrangement that are different from when you hire somebody to do something. There's some situations where I've dealt with people who have explained very good, totally legitimate reasons why stuff did not happen at a certain time. And maybe there was a bit of sugarcoating or whatever going on. And I found myself having to write people in these situations and say, hey, that's a fine reason it didn't get done. And if we were in an employer-employee relationship, I think that would be the end of it. That would be a fine thing for an employee to explain why the task of the employer did not get done. That's not the partnership I'm hoping to have. We partners don't snow each other. They don't sugarcoat stuff because they both know that they're both going to have to eat the garbage that comes out of doing that. And I think that there's a directness, and I think, all four of us in the same room have ascended to that level of honesty, where you can own the difficulties with something, and realize, okay, it's going to be painful to lay this out, why I disagree with X, Y, or Z, but not as painful as if I sugarcoat this and push it down the road and pretend it won't become a problem at some point.
Yeah, I've looked at, when I decide to work with people, I look at, like, do they get things done? What kind of personality are they? And there are people who will, when the things will come to you with a very good explanation for why it didn't get done. And it'll be convincing. We understand that. And it'll be a very legitimate reason. And then there are people, when it's due, they get something done. they get something done, and that's hard. And I'm out here in LA, and LA is lovely because it's a place filled with dreams and fantasy and wish fulfillment, but I'm surrounded by very flaky people who do not get stuff done, who talk about the next thing and the next thing. And I was that person for a big part of my life. I did not get things done. And then I realized one day, like, wow, that's a personality trait. There are people who get things done. There are people who do not get things done. I think I'd rather be somebody who got something done. And there are people who knew me before and after and would say there was a marked personality change between, the guy that's putting out 2 or 3 books a year, among other stuff, and the guy that just talked about writing books, talked about that stuff. And so out here, I'm surrounded by a lot of personalities of people like, yeah, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do this. But they want to do it when it's fun. And then when it's not fun, they give up and they move along to something else. And they kind of never have, unless they had some lucky break, they never broke out of that. They never broke out of that pattern, and they don't realize that's a problem. And that's been a challenge. So I try to look at people who are, who's the person that's like, yeah, I have 3 weeks vacation. Oh, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to go make this. I've got plans to go do this other thing, this cool thing I'm producing or doing this sort of stuff. I'm like, that's the person whose time is already sort of doled out. That's who I want to work with, because the person who has a lot of free time may seem like that's great, but there's a reason why, because they don't get things done. So I look for that. I've never partnered on writing a book with somebody because that sounds like that would just not fit with the way I like to get things done. And I'm trying to, but sometimes you find yourselves in partnerships that people are like, man, this is going to be a challenge because they don't respect your time, so to speak.
Sure. I mean, but I will say this. I've been involved in a bunch of different partnerships in my life, and by and large, they wound up being more positive than negative. But I think my personality might be suited for that a little bit. Like there's, I'm conscious now of the fact that, like, maybe it's the training of being a child of divorce and having to make mommy and daddy feel good about the situation that happened, that has conditioned me to be able to play peacemaker in larger, more complicated partnerships, or just understand, to me, the value of what is productive and what is not. And oftentimes, like, a lot of the personal stuff of, like, do you respect my time? Do you respect my contribution? Do you understand where my strengths are and where your strengths are? And is your version of that in your head insulting to me? That is real and is not a bad thing to be aware of by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes isn't productive, either.
And that's one of the, I'm sorry for interrupting, but it makes me, it strikes me, that synopsis of it, because it seems like so much of a partnership is based on honesty, both honesty in the moment. Of course, you should always represent the facts as they truly are, but also honestly making only promises that you can commit to keeping, right? Because that's the fastest way to torpedo a partnership, is for one party to figure out that the other party doesn't really mean it. Or when that deadline comes, you're more likely to hear a quote unquote perfectly legitimate reason why it didn't get done than you are to hear an assessment of how it was delivered on time.
Yeah. That's the challenge. And what I try to do, and I love writing, because writing a book, I could say, okay, generally it's a one-person operation. You start, you finish it, and then there's other people can come into play, but you can finish that on your own. We did iTricks because, the blog with Justin, because Justin's an incredibly talented writer and extremely productive person, and I knew that because as a child of divorce trying to make somebody happy, he'll just get it done. He would just exploit his psychological vulnerabilities, and it would get done. Working with him as a business was great because we're both guilt-driven. We're both very, very guilt-driven when we want to try to get things done. And so, that worked, and it helped us just develop skills that played out later on. I've had other friends who are very competent and like, oh, let's go do something. But the moment they're great and they want to go off. And I've had a couple friends who are like super, super competent. They're very entrepreneurial when they're out of work and they're like looking for money. But once they get a moment of stability, once they get a steady income, that entrepreneurial spirit's gone. It's just, they don't want it. Like, yeah, no, that's great. Now I'm like, okay, you really, what you wanted was not to create something new. You just wanted a steady paycheck, and you don't care about moving beyond that. And that took me a while to realize, like,
Well,
okay.
and that can be fine as long as that's the agreement from the get-go. What's difficult is oftentimes, it's not that people intentionally deceive their partners. It's that honestly they think their, future version of themselves will be the kind of person that stays excited, stays diligent, stays focused on deadlines and details and stuff. And then they figure out that it's not. And if it's a healthy relationship, then, as a unit, you and the other person say, hey, let's look at these last 6 months. We both agreed on this, and it looks like you're just not interested. Can we talk about, not doing it this way anymore, or not doing it together anymore? Which I think you can navigate those waters. I don't know that I've lost any, outside of that very first one, I don't know that I've lost any friendships when a partnership ended because there was effective communication to guide us through the denouement.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. I think that comes down to, like you said, not knowing your future self. And I know that, like, I've let people down. I know that I've partnered with people and stuff, and I can think of recent stuff where I'm like, oh, this is great because I've got the time to go do this. And then through maybe on their side, that window closed of when I was available. And then they're like, oh, let's go do this. And it's kind of like, I don't want to harp on, like, yeah, I said that I could do this when we had that time available, and that gets problematic because they don't quite understand that, once that window's closed, I've got serious commitments that I have to responsibly do elsewhere. But I certainly know that I've been on the other side of that I have let people down or whatever. And so that's the thing I think about too, is that, I have a project where I've been working on that. It's like, it's cool. It's like, yeah, this is great if I can spend 48 hours on it. If I have to spend any time beyond that, my interest is going to go way down. And there was a communications problem. And then it's like, hey, can you do this, this, this? And it's like, I'm so past that thing right now. I'll do this, but this other thing you asked me to do, that's a 72-hour problem. And I'm going to have to be like, no, I can't do that. And the thing you want isn't worth my time to do that for what you're trying to do.
So how do you make sure that balance scale, that time credits is transparent to your partner? Because people don't often knowingly overspend their credit with their partnerships, whether it's their spouse, their friends, or their business partners. How do you make sure to make it clear, like, okay, I will do this, but understand you're spending 10,000, space credits with me because this is how hard it's going to be for me to do?
I'm going to say the hard part too is, like, working in software stuff, like, I'm horrible at estimating how long something will take. I'll be like, okay, I got 4 items on this checklist. This should be easy. This should be easy. Then you go do it, and you're like, oh, this isn't working right. Now I've got to spend 8 hours chasing down this bug. And you feel great when you solve the problem. You're like, oh, those other 3 things I was supposed to get done didn't get done. And so that's problematic. And certainly as I become more skillful, I'll probably be better at that. But I see experienced programmers and coders, and I understand why they get frustrated with minor, what are perceived to be minor little changes, like, oh, let's just do this, let's just do that, and it's the question is, in software you can only estimate what you've done before. Somebody points out, yes, but you're still forced to do estimates though. You still have to guess what it's going to take though. In a perfect world, you can say, I can base this on my past experience. Your accuracy certainly increases with you go up there. But another thing too is I think about, like, oh yeah, if I want to create a new site, I can create a user authentication system. I can do all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do it, but that's still 4 hours to go do all that, So
I think that it is a personality-based thing, and I think Andrew and I worked really, really well together, and I think Ryan and I have worked really well together in a much less intensive area. But even in situations where when we're doing like the VR shoots and everything, I think almost immediately there is a kind of copacetic understanding of what the other one needs to kind of get through it. And that's us being pampered, stupid talent.
Well, also old married couple. I mean, I think there's a real value to seeing somebody react and not participating it, but instead be all like, okay, well, he's low on this fuel bar. Let me do my best to,
But I'll tell you what, I'll step back on that though a little bit, because I think that if we were to do those VR shoots within year 1 of BB Live Show, it would have been different. But I don't know if at the core it would have been all that different. You know,
I agree.
You would think that it would be That it would have been different?
No. I agree with you. The details and the specifics would change, but I think the heart of it would have been identical. So yeah, you're right.
And I think that part of it is, we still kind of have this sort of tribal idea. I think it is something that all three of us have, that I'm going to bring my worth. I need for you to understand and respect what I am bringing. And as part of that, you also show what you are doing, right? And that through that mutual respect, we can build something more. And Andrew nailed it. There are just some people who do not work like that. There are people for whom are not about, my entire adult life, I was talking to somebody that I used to go to college with, and he was like, you made me realize that it's like I've always kind of been somebody that's always had 6 other different things going on. Like I was doing the newspaper, but I was also in sketch comedy, and I was also doing this other stuff. And now I'm doing podcasting, but I'm also in board games, but I'm also doing, this other stuff. So there are people for whom want to create and want and see the world as a clay that they can mold to make sure that they make as much as possible, and they relish the opportunities to come in so they can add more to their plate. And then there are people who want to confine work to a silo, usually defined by how much they get paid for it on a regular basis, and that's it.
Well, and keep in mind, there's no right or wrong to it. There is effective and non-effective personality types when it comes to partnering with folks.
Well, that's kind of key there, because I think let's break down Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I want to hear what you guys did.
Okay. Wow. Let me dial back in time.
It's Memorial Day weekend. It's time to take off, relax,
I'm
chill
actually
out.
going to open up my calendar and take a look.
All right, I got it. Friday, woke up, did the new podcast, the Headlines Politics podcast for the Politics thing. Had a huge week on Patreon because we started doing that. So that was the first thing I did after I went for a run. Then did the 3.5 hour Friday Hype Train stream. Did a truncated Hearth and Oats right after that. Got on the phone for about 45 minutes with Andrew, and then went off to San Francisco to the Twitch offices. Did a charity stream where I danced like an asshole for about an hour or so, and then networked over there for a while. Went out to meet with Tom and Veronica for the night, and that was Friday. Saturday, kind of screwed off a little bit, but mostly worked on the Kickstarter script for Action News. Worked on a one sheet for Action News because talking with a couple partners at some websites to help with the launch and see where we go from there. Sunday, got on the phone with them, hashed out a couple ideas on where we want to go in an action item of where we go with that business partnership. Did do a little screwing off then. And then this morning, woke up, did the Politics podcast, and hopped on for this.
Yeah, man.
Basically just screwed around, did nothing.
Yeah, right. Well, what's funny is how disparate.
I was day drinking for a lot of Sunday though, so there was a little steam blown off.
On Friday, my Friday started with the release of the new Monologue episode that we had to kind of midwife and answer questions and that stuff. I ended up having lunch with Corey Coleman of Toasted Donut to swap ideas. Did I say Toasted Donut?
Yeah,
I did. Yeah,
double toasted.
Double toasted. Yeah, sorry, Toasted Donut. Wow, Toasted Donut was what Dig Nation became.
But they swapped the Dig Nation channel to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, double toasted. Thank you. Wow, that was crazy. And then I swooped in and jumped on Justin's stream. Kept keeping. I'm sorry that it was as short as it was. Then swooped over to Wizard Academy where they do a Friday get together. And
a business meeting.
And we had our quarterly Bizarre Magic team meeting, and then the next day was largely a family day, if I remember correctly. I think I did some work. But then yesterday, we shot Modern Rogue, where we blew up a car and partnered with the folks over at Stunt Ranch. And then today is, I ran 10 miles this morning. and then we just did Weird Things. It's After Things. And then I got Cord Killers afterwards.
So again, sort of slacked off over the weekend.
Little bit.
You see a pattern there.
Yeah, man. I guess you know what's funny is I'm so in it that I don't bother to notice that it might be remarkable to someone else just doing a bunch of stuff.
Because that's the thing is ultimately I don't think of it in that same way where it's like, all right, well, wait, you worked after 5? Like you worked before this? Like you worked at these times? Like there's projects, and projects either need to get done or they don't need to get done. And theoretically, if I didn't have projects to do, I wouldn't be working on stuff. But, if I don't have projects to do, I drive myself up a wall and think that I'm slowly decaying. So I wind up picking up more projects.
Well, and it's funny, too. I'm sure you're cut from the same cloth, Andrew. It's like you can list all the stuff you've done, but at the end of the day, all you're going to do is obsess about like, man, I really did. I spent like 2.5 hours playing Hearthstone today. What a waste. What a waste. So much bandwidth not used.
Oh, 100%. And, I did, Saturday I did, spend the whole day at Disneyland, which is fun. And I felt, glad I did that because I just don't do that anymore. But, it was like, the same sort of thing where because I knew, because I already planned Friday, I had my Sunday planned out, was like, okay, I got to work on the 3rd draft of Looking Glass, the novel, because I got the notes back on that. I know I'm going to do that. And then I have this other project I'd committed to, and I said I'd work on it this weekend, so that'll be my Sunday thing. There's other things I want to do, but those are things I'm going to do because they're commitments either to a publisher or a commitment to another person I said I would do. And I said, I'll give that a day to do those 2 things. I did that, and then once those things were done, I then worked on some other stuff. But I've noticed in my friends who are my flaky friends versus my non-flaky friends, and again, all lifestyle choice, my non-flaky friends, that's what their weekends are like. And my flaky friends, well, they did a bunch of stuff, but the thing they're always pulling towards is where they went to go do the fun thing, where they did the fun thing here. Like, oh yeah, I did this last minute, so-and-so called, I had to go do this thing. Like, well, that was a hangout. Oh, but it was good because there was a networking thing. It's like, no, you didn't want to do the thing. You don't feel dragged. You don't feel compelled to finish the project. And that's been, and I look at parts of my life where like, it's hard. I'm going to go do the fun thing and I'll rationalize the fun thing. And then I'll have great excuses why the real thing didn't get done. And I won't feel bad. And that's a choice. It's a choice. And I think that when you partner, make sure you really need a partner, and understand that partnership is not going to make them a more efficient person. That partnership is not going to make them somebody who gets things done. In fact, it's just going to magnify. If they're flaky, you're going to see the biggest part of their flakiness. If they get things done and they're detail-oriented, you're going to see that. All it does is just put that up on a big screen for you to see, and that's the thing to think about, before you get into it, or leverage too much of your life into something that somebody else could derail.
Yep.
And I have friends that are absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people that I've worked with before that I would not partner with them again because they have no idea how bad of a partner they are. They have no idea in their mind, nothing they did to disappoint. Everything I get always, this didn't happen because of this. This didn't happen because of that. And it's like, nothing happened, and you just sort of say, okay, you know what? This is just going to be a good friend. Not somebody who I collaborate with.
In the book,
Brian.
Yes, in the book, the one thing there's a very good clarifying question is when you're working with someone, and this is in an employer-employee setting, but if you're doing that right, it should feel like a partnership. The question he asks is this the best you could do, or is this the best it could be done? And that's a very different scenario because when they run it through their filter, oftentimes truly the two are synonymous. And really what it does is it forces you to acknowledge, boy, I have not been giving 100% to this. This is not the best it could be done. In theory, if this was $1 million task, I probably wouldn't have just said, well, I made 3 calls. What am I supposed to do? Force them to answer the phone? It's like, no, you'd get creative and figure out where to go next.
Oh my God. Yeah. That one of the best pieces of advice I ever got, and I'll repeat this again, was met the guy who was a businessman. He was in charge of a very large company. And I said, hey, and this is going back like 15 years. I said, what piece of advice could you give me? I said, I hadn't been around a lot of people in business. I didn't have a lot of mentors in that area. You know, I was one of these people trying to learn from people around me. I said, what piece of advice would you give me? And he said, when somebody sends me a resume, I throw it away. When somebody wants to come work for me and they just send me that, I throw it away. But if somebody comes to my office, tells my secretary, says, hey, I don't have an appointment. And my first instinct when I'm thinking he says this and somebody comes to my office, I'm like, oh, and you just send them away, right? You know, because, you know, that what an intrusion. No, that's not where this went. He said, somebody comes to my office. They say, hey, I don't have an appointment, but if I could have, 5 minutes of Mr. Smith's time, that'd be great. I'm willing to wait. He says, if they sit there and they wait, if they're willing to come in there and make the effort to come see me, I will meet with that person. And they gave me their resume, then I will read it because that impresses me. He says, that's what I need. He says, when I send people out to go do deals, when I send people to make things happen, I don't want somebody who just sends out a letter. I don't want somebody who just sends this thing out to make it happen. I want somebody that makes sure that they're there and they show up. And the first time I took that piece of advice, it worked wonderfully for me. I was trying to get hold of somebody at a public television station, and I said I could send a letter, but I said, you know what? I'm going to go there. I'm going to say I'm in the area, which I was technically, but not for that. Said, hey, I just want to bring this by. If so-and-so's got 5 minutes, love to talk to them. Say, emphasis, if they've got 5 minutes, love to just say hello. They came out, met me, and had a partnership. And it was powerful, powerful advice because it showed me the difference between somebody who does the least they have to do and somebody who does the most they can do.
Yes.
If they will work, yeah.
I'll tell you what, that's something that I learned from the both of you, where if you have something in front of you and you have an opportunity or a connection that could be made and that person is not in your state and not in your city, man, isn't it a coincidence that you're just randomly going to happen to be in L.A., New York, D.C., San Francisco at the exact time that they'd be able to meet. Isn't that nuts that your aunt, brother, sister, old college friend happen to be doing a thing right around there? And it's like there is, I mean, I hate to have it come down to, like do or do not. There is no try, but either either it's happening or it's not. And either you are going to, and like now where I'm looking at with this like Action News thing, here's a couple ideas that would like radically shift how I'm going to spend this month. And it's like, this is what it is. The best deal that's going to happen is the best deal that's going to happen. And I'm going to not at the end of that Kickstarter 30 days, look back and say, man, I really wish I would have done blank, because either this stuff is going to get done and you're going to meet the people and you're going to make the deals and you're going to launch the thing, or it's not. And either you got that mindset or you don't.
Well, and plus also, you think about it like they're speculative investments of your time. There was a case where I was supposed to have a meeting with a big production company, and I was pitching them the Modern Rogue. And
Vivid Video.
What's that?
Vivid Video.
Yeah, yes. And so they set a time, and I was like, yeah, that'll be great. And so I booked a flight out there, and it happened to be, I was going to go up to San Francisco or Oakland to see Justin, or I forget for what it was. But then I added a leg in L.A. just to go for that meeting. And then, they didn't know that I wasn't local to Los Angeles. I didn't see why that was relevant. And so instead, we had a thing, and then they call, they're like, oh, it's really busy today. Let's push this off. And I was like, okay, well, just so you know, I definitely flew in for this meeting. If we could do it today, I'd really like to do it. And then they're all like, oh, I don't know. And then, so then I just went there. I just went and I was like, hey, didn't get a clear answer from you guys. So I am right outside at the hotel across the street from you. Whenever you want to get together, go ahead and do it. And then basically they called and they're like, yeah, still can't do it. And so then I sent an email to two people that at the company are like, hey, I'm here at the place. Too bad. I'm sorry to hear that you were not able to take the meeting. And then at that point, one of the two people I emailed just turned around and was like, WTF, what are you doing? Why are you not taking this meeting? And then, sure enough, I took the meeting, and it ended up being an utterly disappointing meeting, and it was not a match at all. Also, maybe the most valuable thing that happened that entire year, because it shut down. Like, it was like I went to audition for them, and I realized, oh, wait, no, I don't trust you guys. You're not right for me. And then I walked away. Like, you, on the one hand, you could look and be like, whoa, what a huge waste, and it didn't even turn into anything. No, it was a big investment of time, energy, and effort, and involved a lot of me hanging out, doing emails in a random Wi-Fi. But at the end of the day, I was able to close the door and with complete clarity of vision know, okay, the Modern Rogue does not belong pitching in this environment with these people in this, so on. And so it ended up being a very, very good thing that on paper would look like a giant, F up.
Yeah, there's that every time you go through that process, and if you pay attention, because I'd gone through a lot of pitch meetings and stuff, and you walk out of there going like, yeah, they weren't into it. And I've gone into other meetings where I've pitched stuff, and I've walked out and had partners like, oh, I think that went great. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, no, it was great. And I'm like, and then I was right, because having gone through that process so many times, like I can tell an indication of interest, and I can tell politeness, and
Well,
they're,
I'll tell you
from
what, you
experience.
want to know what? I think you've also kind of ID'd another sort of personality difference, is that some people just kind of want Prince Charming to roll up on a white horse. And I think for the three of us, we've been through enough stuff where you partner with people and it works and it doesn't work, or there's a promise made and it is either fulfilled or not fulfilled, that you realize that this is about trial and error. It's not about waiting and being very good and having high marks and eventually you'll be rewarded with the best opportunity ever. It's about going out there and doing it and figuring it out, because it's messy and weird, and the only way that you're really going to get people's attention is by making them value you because of what you've done.
Well, and we've talked about this experience before. When it came time for us to put together NSFW, or for me to put together NSFW for the Twit Network, it was, looking back, we had a lot of fun with all the retinue of casting characters, but I did not know how to do a show without Justin, simply because Justin was the only one who always unfailingly showed up for every single session.
Which says more about just he had no place else to go.
I mean, that's fine. Look, you and I both know that. Let's pretend it's something more noble.
Yeah. So I would say the takeaways from this are, if you look at people who are getting things done, the people who are in demand, people who have, who, when you ask them what they did in the last 3 days, and the focus is around the projects they got done and not the parties or the fun things they got to go do, you're like, well, that's an indication, if they're, because you often are like, oh, you should partner with so-and-so, they need something. I'm like, that's the worst person. I've had people like, you should help my friend. They've got a lot of great ideas. Like, why aren't they writing? No, they just need to be motivated. That don't come from outside.
Yeah.
That's
And also, you don't want to be that Prince Charming to somebody. When they look at you and they see Prince Charming that's going to give them the thing that they're missing, it's like, no. You need a running mate. You don't need.
That's the astonishing thing, is times that we've needed or that we've been short on staff, or we needed help. It's astonishing to me how I can say, I am lacking in someone to do this. And then I'll announce it on Twitter, like, send me an email at this and explain why it should be you. Fully half right at the top, the first line will say, I am seeking a position of, and then that's all I read, because it's like, I'm not interested in what you're seeking. I'm interested in, what you can do.
Fix my problem.
Yeah, exactly. And the best people are, it's kind of like that Fight Club thing where it's like you stand there for 3 days with no food, no water, and no support. It's like, that's the worst thing, is I'm not going to help you. It's like, you're either the kind of person who understands that your new gig is to, solve this problem for me, and or not. But it's like, if I start you off by encouraging you and dragging you along and keeping you afloat, then that's probably what I'm going to be doing forever from that day forward with you. And that's not, there's not enough in my budget, my emotional budget, to do that.
There's a book, which will probably be my pick, which I read. It was kind of an interesting book with the startup J curve. And it got into like how almost all businesses sort of go through this period where things don't work, they fall apart or whatever, and they kind of have to reorganize and figure out what they are. And that's the critical junction. Howard Love, that is the point at which things either make or break. And a very fascinating personality, I think, is Travis Kalanick of Uber, which controversial in many, many ways. This is a guy who's got a reputation for an abrasive personality. Unfortunately, just had a horrible tragedy this past couple of days where his mother, passed away in an accident. went through that. But he's a very controversial person. But this is a person that is a fighter. This is a person that you look at. Why did they keep him with this company for so long? Why is he still running, Uber? Even why were the VCs who put the money in there happy with the controversy and the difficulties? Because it's a industry filled with disasters, filled with failures, and he kept the thing moving forward, and that is a rare skill. Jeff Bezos, probably going to become the richest man in the world. You read early days of Amazon when they're trying to get this thing going. He's driving the station wagon to the fulfillment center where they, the book, the companies that sell the books, loading it up himself to drive it back so they can ship them out. This is a guy that is going to make things happen. And he left a job in banking. He left a very high paid job to go into that. And that's the same too as like, Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel's another guy who was working for, this finance firm that like you think like, oh, you've got it made. But he said everybody in here is trying to figure out how to get out. Everybody wants in.
That's been the astonishing thing is I have a friend of mine who's, high up in the, vice presidency tiers of corporate culture for the company that he's at. And to hear him talk about his relationships with everything, it's straight up Game of Thrones. It's everybody knows who's making how much money, who's under the chopping block, because it's this, some number of people have to be fired. How far do you want to stick your neck out? How much do you want to own a thing? How can you appear busy? Which, because it's like being credited for working on a thing is more important than actually having worked on the thing. It's a different world to me.
Yeah, and you get into like strange things in corporate world where it was like something like Microsoft or somebody had this policy of like they would like routinely like, oh, we'll do our reviews and we'll fire the bottom 5-10% perform automatically, and it's like, regardless of whatever your metric was, you're going to let go of the lower 10, even though random walk would kind of say that if everybody's performing at kind of an optimal level, that's maybe a horrible, terrifying thing to do to people. But, you get into these crazy kind of corporate environments that people deal with. But it's a people who leave those environments but are extremely hardworking often just do amazing things. And so I'm very, very impressed by people who sort of, like I see in the startup world, you'll see that some companies, their goal, they create a business because the entirety of their business plan is just to get their startup funded, not because they're customer focused, not because they're focused on building a big business, but because their point of success is actually just getting the funding to it, and that's where they say okay, and that's really where other really successful people, and that's the first step.
I can understand a little bit of that, because there was a lot of compromises that we made working on the television project, both in the specials and in the series, where it's like I knew that this was not going to yield the best art, this was not the best idea, but you spend your coupons sparingly. It's like, well, do I want to go to war on this? Do I want to push everything back? It's like what I really want is for this thing to make it to air. It's and I think that's a little bit of the same vibe that those people have.
Well, let me clarify then. So I go to like I have a friend that puts on these startup events, and I go there and just hang out, and I'll see 100 people there with their their business plans, and you talk to them about like, oh yeah, well, they've spent a lot of time thinking about how they're going to try to woo over their investor, and you start asking them about, well, how do you improve your product? How do you improve your customers? And you realize their business plan purely is to try to come up with an idea that will get funded. Mm-hmm. Not that they have a grand vision for their business, not that they have a grand idea of how they're going to please people or try to solve a world problem. They're really there because it's like, I'll just write a screenplay, not because I have a story to tell, because I hear you make money doing that. And that's that sort of thinking, and certain things and I guess that's the point. It's like there's not a lot of thought beyond I'll just do this. Well, this seems like a way to make money. People, I'll create a business, I'll go there, I'll get a fund. Like, what's your business? Why do you want to do this? What do you want to do? Reasons, and you talk to these people too to realize like how paper thin some of this stuff is. Like paper thin, like, oh, let me see your deck. We're working on it. Like, you're here asking for money, you're asking for a couple $100,000, and you don't even have like a 10-page deck, like.
And I know what a deck is, but let's pretend that the audience doesn't know. What's a deck?
So a deck is a presentation deck. It's just a stack of slides, effectively PowerPoint slides.
Got it.
It's like 10 of them are different. They're different sort of thoughts, schools of thought on what what you should do.
listen,
One of the big ones is the one pager, just a quick one page what you are.
The Fire Festival had a deck. You can have a deck.
Yeah. And so it's sort of in lieu of like a lot of like VCs, they don't so much care about your business plan or stuff like that, because I think that sort of to me has been a warning sign. Like I had a project with a friend and like, oh yeah, these people, they want to invest, and like, oh, they want to see our full out, they want to see our business plan, our costs and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, that's fantasy. So that is pure fantasy what they're asking for. That's like a serious VC isn't going to ask for that. They're not mature investors. They're people that think that's what mature investors do. They're asking for the wrong things. They should be wanting to know what our talent hires are going to be, what our time frames are on there, what our run rate's going to be, what we plan to be spending on. But like it's, you sort of see sort of that thinking. But anyhow, I guess my point is that like people who get things done, that hyper committed personality, that's rare, but they're going to, I see that in like, Jeff Bezos, who's an amazing personality. You saw that with the termination of Bill Gates early on when he started out. You see a lot with Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs would call up the president, like David Packard of Hewlett Packard, and ask him for free, parts as a teenager. Like, can we get some parts? Can we get some free parts? It's like, who's this kid calling? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Just come get whatever you need, And that kind of perseverance is important. It's critical.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just buying your pick, the startup J Curve.
It's an interesting read. I wasn't as immediately taken to it as I did with like Peter Thiel stuff and some of the other ones.
0 to 1.
But I think that so many people who are very credible and intelligent really like it that I go like, okay, I'm probably not smart enough or experienced enough to really appreciate the value because I haven't gone through that, So, but I certainly enjoyed it. But I was like, like this will probably resonate for me later on. Right now I'm like, I guess that's important. It's like when you give recommendations to people like, this is really critical. Like, yeah, whatever. And you're like, like, I'm giving you like the best advice in the world. And it's just, like I had somebody wanted to do a startup and like, yeah, I've got this, my domain name's like, really-cool.net, something like that.
Sure.
I'm like, you've got a hyphen and you're a .net. -1, you should never use a hyphen to your .net. He's like, yeah, well, I'm like, you should come
also
up with a
for the
name.
record, crack investigator Bryce Castillo has already taken us to relay-cool.net, and it's under construction.
Yes, but it's funny because it's like you tell somebody like, yeah, like no, like I'm telling you that like if you're gonna launch this and you're launching with this type of a name and you're in like go for all no hyphen, go for a .io, XYZ or whatever. Don't do the hyphen, and really nothing says we couldn't get .com more than a .net.
Yep.
Yeah. But and you could try to if people are like, yeah, I'm like the fact that this is so important to me, the fact that this is so important to me should just say to that. Yeah, .co, yeah, do.co. If you come up with something really clever or something like that, but yeah, the problem with .co is it sounds a lot like it should be a .com. You're like, should be a .com, should be .com. And I've had, some domains I've bought because I'm like, I'm never going to get a good one, but then I've had some that worked out really well, But anyhow, just some of the things you just tell people like, no, just don't. Like I get it, man, working with somebody who's like, I go to their website and it's Flash. They got a Flash animation. I'm like, do you need to, yeah, no, people still, I'm like, you're nothing says that you're 10 years behind the times like this, like nothing. This is just really,
unless you're rebooting Newgrounds as a nostalgia destination portal, then get about my face with this Flash.
Yeah, but anyway, those are minor things. But you get into that sort of stuff where you tell some people like they doesn't seem important to them, so they doesn't seem important, and then you watch later on, you're like, yeah, I try to pay attention when people are like really like, no, really. So
yeah.
All right, so my pick was a startup J Curve. Any other picks?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna plug a podcast that I've been getting into and enjoying quite a bit. Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social. If you listen to Penn Sunday School, then you know that Matt Donnelly is on there every single week, and his podcast is really good. And they do a thing called Scoop Fest, kind of like Nerdtacular, And Justin and I are going to go do Night Attack there in Vegas later this year in September. But if you want to get caught up on their stuff, they're two improv comedians. They're very, 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 very funny.
Yeah, I'll give 2 scoops of praise to that pick.
Sweet. Is that your pick too, Justin?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I was the other scoop.
Yeah. No, I was with you.
I understood. I was clarifying. Wanted to make sure, gentlemen. This has been very enlightening. It's been after.
Cool. Alrighty. Good chows. Good chows.
Yeah.
Good shoes.
Good. Oh, you guys. Good show.
Righto.
Good show.
Alrighty. So there's no no Hotline Monday?
No hotline,
No
no.
Hotline Monday. Well, we've got Court Killers coming up in about 2 hours, so don't go anywhere. Don't leave your house. Don't turn the computer off.
Your family.
No.
Overrated. All right, guys.
Laters.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
600 feet. I've been lost before. I don't wanna repeat.